Hey, I think we're live. What's happening, everybody? What is going on? It is Tuesday, and it's time for the Flippin' Cassettes webinar. What's happening? What's shaking? Where are all my music lovers at? Or if you don't like music, at least you like flipping it and making that money, don't you? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Let me see. Ooh, 183 people here already. Woo! What is going on? Let me go with the chat open. Bam, there's everybody. Ooh, my mom's watching from her granddaughter's t-ball game. So my mom is multitasking. What's happening, Becky? What's happening, Mia, Gina, Karen? Oh, there's Steph. Hey, Steph. Hey, Jane. Georgia. What's going on? All right. So, we always give a couple minutes to get everyone in here. What was your first, in the chat, what was your first cassette you remember purchasing? I remember my 8-track very well. I remember my record, and I remember my CD. And the cassette, I have a hard time remembering what I bought, but I'm pretty sure it was a K-Tel, compilation. Check out these hits on K-Tel. Ooh, Thriller, ELO, Beach Boys. Oh yeah, I had Beach Boys too. That might have been a Beach Boys. We have any youngins in here? I want someone to say, I've never bought a cassette. Is there anyone going to say that? I've never listened to a cassette. There it is. Hey, Kevin. Oh, wait, is that Kevin Wren? You should have listened to a cassette at some point. Michael Jackson, Thriller, Simon and Garfunkel. All right, cool. So most of you have bought a cassette. So before we get even a little further, I want to cheers to all of you for tuning in tonight. Thank you very much for joining me on this fun little journey of flipping cassettes. If you attended my flipping CD webinar last year, you are in for a treat. I mean, not a treat, but you're in for more of the same. But it is really, really different with cassettes. There's a whole different mentality. You're looking for totally different stuff. If you've not taken the CD webinar and you didn't sign up for it this time and you enjoy what you saw by the end of this, you can still get it added on. We will get you a link for that later. Oh, you like my buddy page? Yeah, I just thrifted that. And I'm actually going to have art and shelves there. But since there's nothing there yet, it looks so weirdly empty in that corner. I'm like, I have to put something. And that was I just thrifted that at Savers or Goodwill or something. So, ooh, that's some good rum. Chris was a cool teenager, had an 8-track and a cassette player. I've never seen both in a car. An 8-track and a cassette player. That is crazy awesome. So I'll tell you one story and then we'll get going. I had a 82 or 3 Malibu when I was going to college in 90. And the stereo broke, so instead of fixing it, I had a boombox. And so the boombox would just sit in the middle. The front seat was a long bench seat, just sit in the middle, and took 8D batteries, and we would just listen to music really loud in the boombox back and forth to college. So one day on the way to college, I just happened to look in my side view mirror. Oh, and I was also missing my rear view mirror because that's important. I was also missing my rear view mirror. I look in my side mirror, and there's a cop or a state highway patrol with lights and sirens. And he pulls me over, and by the time we pull over, he goes, "Do you know how long I've been following you?" Well, without the mirror, the rearview mirror, and the music cranked so loud in the boombox, never heard him, never saw him. He followed us for 5 minutes. Whoops! So let that be a lesson to you, kids. Don't be using your boombox. What do you mean?
It just says redirect not allowed, and now it's just spinning.
Yeah, let me say it real quick.
It doesn't matter. Don't worry.
Let me say it real quick. Well, no, you're my eyes and ears. Yeah, something's wrong with the computer because you can't even switch your tabs. So
I did. You did. You get over there.
Yeah, well, I just try to.
Go Chrome quick.
Yeah, that's what your problem is. All right. So while Stacy reboots, why don't we get started? And we're going to be off and running here. We're going to teach you all about making that money flipping CDs. So let me get the presentation going. All right, I think that should work. Boom! Oh my God, I love when technology works. It is so much fun. All right. Yeah, it's a new ring light that I didn't realize didn't have a stand. So I was playing with it, but I wasn't sure how I was going to look until we got live. So I'm going to turn that off for now. All right, flipping cassettes, Jason Thrift's webinar. Now, for those of you who have not seen my CD webinar, I wanted to give you a quick little history of me, just so you know where I'm coming from with my with my knowledge. So late 90s, I had a job that was somewhat seasonal. It was a sales job. And so during the months of November and December, I really didn't have much to do. And so I thought, where could I get a part-time job, but at a record store? But of course, I was already in my 30s, and I wasn't about to get a job as a clerk, with the teenagers. So I pretty much started as assistant manager position, and I loved it. And when I decided to end my other career, I said, all right, I want to go full-time working for a record store. So this is the first one I started at. This is the Exchange in Elyria, Ohio. Then our travels took us to Long Beach, California, and my wife got to Long Beach about a month before I did, and she calls me one day and goes, hey, there's a record store down the street. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, but you will love it. And I gave her the heebie-jeebies because there was just stacks and stacks of stuff everywhere. And by this point, I was already selling online, and this was the year 2000. And so I went and got a job there, and I said, hey, let me help move some of this stuff you got stacked everywhere and sell online for you, because they didn't, people weren't selling online in 2000, but I'd already figured it out. So I got a pretty cushy job. I got to sit in the back all day and just list and sell. Didn't have to deal with the normal retail shenanigans out front. And then my wife got a job moved her up to the Santa Monica area. So I went to work. My buddy was managing the Tower Records in Westwood, which is UCLA. And I worked there until it closed up. And then they brought me over to the Mecca, Tower Records on Hollywood Boulevard. I was the nighttime manager, and I was probably the nighttime manager for 8 months or so. And it was awesome. It was fun. I learned a ton of knowledge, but I worked the second shift. My wife worked banker's hours, and we never saw each other. So when she changed companies and she got a nice raise, I said, can I quit? And she said, absolutely. So we could start seeing each other again. So been working in record stores, and I've been a music nerd all my life. My mom and dad took me to Sha Na Na and Donnie Marie when I was 6, I think. And then my uncle Nino took me to Charlie Daniels Band at the height of Devil Went Down to Georgia. When I was 10 years old, threw me on the back of his motorcycle, and I was transfixed with live music ever since then. All right, so before we get to cassettes, we all had records and record players, and this ain't gonna work the way I thought it would. I'm guessing you guys aren't seeing the little video running smooth like I do. All right. So records were great, and the sound was great, but you would have to worry about your needle, and you'd have to worry about the cartridge, and you would have to worry about the record getting scratched. And so that was, cumbersome to say the least. I do want to give my mom a shout out. I hope she's still listening, because my mom never, ever stopped me from listening to what I wanted to. She never understood it. Come on, slide. I will pause that story for a second. Are you in? Yep. All right. Hold, please, for technical difficulties. Woo! Let's try this again. Apparently, I shouldn't stick little fun videos in my presentation.
You can't do videos.
Sorry, I just found out the hard way. I do have a few videos. I will share them later with everybody. But I wanted to give my mom a shout out. This was 2 of my Christmas presents in 1985. I was 14 going on 15. Iron Maiden, Live After Death, and the Cramps, Bad Music for Bad People. My mom didn't know the music, didn't really like it, but she did let me listen to whatever I want to. All right. But here's the problem. You want to take your records on the go with you. You got to pack up your record player. You got to pack up all your records. And that is just not easy. That is not easy to do. You can't take your stuff with you. Why aren't my slides changing? Okay, that was not a video. What's happening here, Johnny? Let's try this again. So I see Ginny said, were you a headbanger as a kid? I was everything. And the same week, I'd go see Marilyn Manson. I'd go see Huey Lewis in the News. I'd go see Rat. Like, I was all over the place. All right. What? All right. So if you wanted to move your records with you, you had to move a lot of stuff. So there were other ways. Hey, John, can you hop in here for a quick second?
Yeah, I mean,
there we go. It's finally changed. I don't know why the slides wouldn't change for a second there. Crazy. All right, I think I'm good. So recorded music, not on vinyl, came out in the early 50s on reel-to-reel. And reel-to-reel was not an easy thing to use. It was tape, and I had a video, but of course we're not gonna show that because that slowed us down. But if you've never fed a reel-to-reel, it was horribly impossible. And of course, they were big and cumbersome. Then let's cut to the early 60s and the invention of the 8-track. I remember my first portable music player was a 1-speaker 8-track player, and this was my first purchase, Kiss Double Platinum. And the problem with 8-tracks is the track would change right in the middle of the song. So for those of you who never played an 8-track, you'd be hearing Kiss going, "At the firehouse," and then it would fade out, and then you'd hear click, bum, 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 back into the song. So that wasn't all that convenient either. And of course, if you wanted to take your 8-tracks with you, they were quite big. But finally, personal cassette tapes came out. Around 1966 was the first official release. And weirdly, there is no like concrete record. Like, we all know exactly what the first CD was, but historians think it's one of these two: Nina Simone, "Wild is the Wind," or Eartha Kitt, "Love for Sale." So this is the beginning of the love of the cassette tape. And so by the early 70s, cassettes had taken hold. And so now people aren't dealing with 8-tracks. They're not dealing with record players. They are dealing with cassettes. And cassettes took off and sold millions upon millions throughout the 70s into the 80s. Now, though, it is 1982. And this came out. This is the first release on CD. And it is Billy Joel's 52nd Street. Come on. Are you in? Try a different browser. Technology is not being my friend right now. Let me try it this way. Let's try that. And try that. Let's do it a little different ways. All right. Well, that ain't working either. Well, okay. I don't like technology, John. I don't. Let's go back to, there we go. Let's try again. There we go. All right, 1982, Billy Joel's 52nd Street came out. And back then, this cost $37. And to listen to it, you had to listen to it on this Sony disc player. And that cost $1,750. And I did want to adjust it so you can fully comprehend the price for today's dollars. And the CD would be $100 in 2019, and the disc player would be $47.52 in 2019. Hey, message John that. You got it? Okay. So I have a few people are getting this redirect error, which Stacy was just getting.
I was in Chrome. I went to Safari and I got in.
All right, so you can put that in the admin chat, please. So if you know anyone that's been trying to get in, tell them to try Safari. So yeah, it would have cost you $4,852 in 1982 to listen to a CD. So tapes were not worried; they were still partying. They were still enjoying their run of supremeness. But now it's 1985. And Dire Straits is the first CD to outsell its cassette counterpart. And that is the beginning of the end. Now, it didn't end right away. It was a somewhat slow death, but once it got rolling, it got rolling. All right, so let's look at some facts and figures for cassettes. In 1990, there was 442 million pre-recorded cassettes sold. By 2007, there was 274,000. So, yeah. And then by 2009, there was 34,000. So, it was dead. It was deader than a doornail. And most companies actually discontinued cassettes in 2003. So the ones that sold in 2007 through 9 were the smaller companies. Now, don't forget, these facts and figures are new cassettes only. So, we're not even talking about used as of yet. Now, here's a little chart to show the decline, the incline of CDs and the decline of cassettes. We had, like I said, we had 440 million cassettes sold in 90. And by 2001, you have nothing. What slide are you seeing? There we go. I don't know why it's a little slow to switch the slides, but there it is. All right, so there's our decline. And as you can see, the CDs climb. So by 2001, it was gone. It was over. The fat lady was singing. However, cassette tape sales continue to rise in the U.S. As of Billboard reports, according to Nielsen Music, cassette album sales are up 23%, with 219,000 tapes sold in 2018 compared to 178,000 in 2017, which that was a 35% increase too. Again, we're still just talking new. So we ain't even talking used on places like Amazon and eBay and stuff. But when a dead form of media starts climbing it new, you better pay attention to the used too, because that means someone is clamoring for it. All right, so if you go to eBay and you look at the completed records, CDs, and cassettes, and then go from completed, which is everything that completed, solds and not solds, and then switch to solds, of those that completed, 63% were sales on CD, 60% on record, and 47% on cassette. Now, I don't know what it was 5 years ago, but I'm going to guess it was more like in the 20s. And, now we're almost at 50%, and it's going to keep on climbing. There will be an end to this. I don't know what it is. I don't know when it'll happen, but there will be an end. But right now, while it's hot, let's capitalize and make some money. All right. But it's so funny. It's like I saw Deanna say, what sparked this? And so, but why? What occurred to bring back cassettes? Hey, that's a great question. And you were just bringing up my next slide. All right. So this, come on, technology. You got to catch up a little faster. There we go. This is the sole responsible person, thing, object for the return of cassettes. Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Star-Lord himself. This is what started cassettes. Now, if you've never seen this movie, you're like, what in the hell are you talking about, Jason? And what I'm talking about is Chris Pratt, who plays Star-Lord. In the movie, his mother had made him a mixtape, and she had written Awesome Mix Volume 1 on it. And throughout the movie, he listened to his music on a Sony Walkman, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And people just fell in love with the music they picked, fell in love with him playing cassettes. And every year, twice a year, there's a thing called Record Store Day. The first one's in April, and the second one is on Black Friday. So Record Store Day had already happened in April when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. And so cut to Record Store Day on Black Friday, and they decided that they're going to release for the first time ever any thoughts on what I could do to get this to, there we go smoother. Sheesh. All right. Maybe. There we go. So they released the Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mixtape for Black Friday, and they sold it for, I think, $9. And here's what it looks like. Now, this looks like it is handwritten, but it's not. That's how they printed from the company. They made it look just like Star-Lord's mom made him the tape. And it was an instant smash. You would buy it for $9 at the store, and then you would sell it on eBay for $50. So that was the beginning. So you could draw an exact line to 5 years ago, Black Friday. Cassettes were officially reborn. All right. So now in 2015, they're like, cassettes, let's try another one. And Metallica's first ever release was a cassette called No Life Till Leather. And we're going to talk about the original a little bit later, but they released their second cassette for Record Store Day in 2015, this one. And this one sold for $9 or $10. And as you can see, it still sells for $40 on eBay. And again, they made it look like it was handwritten, like it was the original. So now we're in 2016. And Sublime, which is a great band out of Long Beach, their original cassette release was called Job Won't Pay the Bills. And again, it was like $9, $10, $11. This just sold for $16.50. So there isn't as big as a return on this one as opposed to Guardians of the Galaxy and Metallica. But again, they're further getting people excited about cassettes. Now we're into 2017. And Paul McCartney and Elvis Costello, kind of an odd pairing, I thought, did a 3-song demo cassette, and they only put the 3 songs on the one side. So, I mean, really, really kind of old school. They made it look like it was handwritten yet again, and they sold a ton of them, and they're still selling for $35 when, again, it was only $9.99. All right, John, I'm going to ask you to hop in. Any thoughts on what I should do? Because this is crazy.
Okay, so your video of you is in real time and it's working fine. So when you hit your changing of the slides, is your slide changing immediately?
So the computer that I change the slide on, it changes, but the computer that I'm on, that I'm watching, it don't change.
Right.
So, like right now, I just switched it to 2018, and I don't see it switching there. It took a few seconds, but I think it's weird lag.
Yeah, that's a serious. Now it didn't lag there.
Oh, it did. It did.
Yeah.
See,
can you play it on the one you're on? Maybe I don't. If both of them were slow, then I would have a.
Yeah, I can try that. So please pause, everyone, for a quick sec. Sorry about that, but I want to make sure you guys are getting a smooth presentation. And right now, it ain't smooth. So let me fix that.
Let's see what happened.
Oh, so just got a message saying my presentation's too big. I should split it into 2 presentations.
Who said that?
My buddy Craig and his husband Rick said that's the problem. There's too many slides. So
I was thinking it might be, but that could be.
All right, hold on. I can do that. I'll cut them up here. So while I'm cutting up real quick, how's everybody doing?
Everybody's wonderful.
All right, so let me split it right in half, and we'll try that.
Hey, one of the things you didn't tell them is that we will do a full Q&A at the end.
Yes.
So make sure you guys stay around for that and hold most of your questions for that.
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any question. I can always plan what I want to teach, and I'm going to give you a lot of great knowledge. But it's when you guys drop the questions on me that, where the extra knowledge really shines, because I don't know exactly what you're all going to be, looking for or what's in your mind. So it's great to have the live Q&A. That's why I always tell people when we do these kind of webinars, like you can watch later on, same with when I'm doing stuff in the Secret Beach or when I do my YouTube shows. But if you can watch live, then you can participate in the questions. And that way, and maybe you're seeing somebody say something that sparks you to say something else. All right, come on. And that could be, I made a monster presentation. I didn't realize that the lag was going to be so nutty. So how's everyone doing? And come on. Hey, so I'm going to say to Craig and Rick, why don't you tell me this ahead of time? I've had big presentations before, and I don't remember.
Now I'm kind of I'm semi convinced there's a problem with YouTube. Because just like Stacy had trouble getting in, me and you had trouble getting in.
All right. So now I have split it in half. So where was I? There we go. I was right there. All right, let's try that. I'll get that one out of the way. We will screen share. I do apologize for this slight delay in your learning. Okay, so here's the Paul McCartney and Elvis Costello I was talking about. But like I said, it's kind of funny that they only did a 3-song demo. And this was only, again, $9-10, selling for $35. All right, now we're in 2018. And that apparently, there we go. And AC/DC's Back in Black is one of the all-time selling records. It sold like a bazillion copies. And so it's not something rare to put on cassette, but majority of the cassettes from the 80s weren't the best sound quality. So they really cleaned it up. They redid it. And so it sounded awesome. And it sells for a good amount. And I must have missed that record store day for some reason because I don't ever remember buying this. And I always buy the cassettes. All right. So now we're in 2019, which is, hey, this year. And is John and I's favorite, Prince was the big cassette this year. The Versace Experience, and still selling for $30. But man, that week that it came out, it was $11, and it was flipping for upwards of $100. Because the problem is, not everyone has a record store near them. And so if you don't, the only way to get this kind of stuff is wait in line at record store day. And they never release more than one cassette at a time. And so those who want cassettes, they're the only market to get them on is the aftermarket, like eBay or Amazon. And so you gotta go with that, but you gotta pay the going rate. All right, so coming up in 2020, what's going to be the next thing? I don't know, but we will find out. Record Store Day is April 18th, 2020. So mark your calendars right now. Look, they used to say there was dead formats. Anymore, there is no dead formats. They're all undead. They're cassettes, reel-to-reels, 8-tracks, laser discs. It's all selling. And look what my local record store did. They kind of wallpapered the wall around the sprinkler room with actual cassettes. And I look at some of them, I go, oh, those are good cassettes. Those are good cassettes. Those would be good to flip. All right, so let's get to the actual knowledge and learning. Now that you kind of got the idea of where we're coming from. So step one is where to find them, because that's where you got to get them. You can't sell them till you get them. All right, so record stores all over the country have been adding cassette sections back to the stores, and those stores that have been around a long time, they got rid of the cassette sections 12, 13 years ago, and now they're bringing them back. And what I've been watching over the past 5 years is they're bringing them back, and they're making them bigger and bigger every time I go into the record store. All right, I'm going to try and switch the other computer, John, because even splitting it in half, it is not letting me switch slides. All right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So there. Where was I? I was in where to find them. There we go. All right. What are you seeing in the feed right now, please?
Mm-hmm.
Still me?
Mm-hmm. Should be called rubbing on jammed up.
Oh, did you get it?
You did something,
Wait,
but it's black.
what's happening? Oh yeah, now it's just a black
It's just black.
Why does the universe not like me? See,
Oh,
Joy,
it
it didn't have to just you, Joy. It was all of us.
There you go. Oh,
It just came up at the end.
second.
That was weird.
That was there for a second. Anyway. Oh, wait, something happened.
Now we see your computer.
Yep, it's there. We see it like all the slides.
I know.
We see
I think we're going to have to do it this way because I think I can work it.
All right, do it that way.
Yeah, you know, it's not ideal, but I can see it. Let me make it bigger. There we go. All right.
Angela said we need to refresh your drinks. It's on the house.
Hey, you can also close that. Click that button in the middle on the top right.
Click that button in the middle on the top right.
Yeah, the button in the middle of the three buttons in the top right. That's your flyout tab.
Where's the flyout tab? I don't even know what the tab is.
I'm saying, like, you see the blue button on the right?
Add an effect.
Yeah, now go up above it. There's
There we
three.
go. There we go. Much better.
There you
Okay. Here we go. We're going to do it this way. We'll make it work. You know, when life throws you a curveball, you just got to find the angles. All right. So record stores all over the country are adding cassette sections back to them, and they keep growing. I share this picture of the cassette section in a Chicago store for a couple of reasons. They're going the extra mile to even breaking it down into categories. So here's their metal section, down below soundtracks and compilations. But I pulled out Benjamin Orr because if you know who Benjamin Orr is, he ain't metal. He ain't metal at all. He's the bass player for the Cars who sings the song, "Who's Gonna Drive You Home Tonight?" That is not metal. Next is Boston. Now, if you look here, Boston's priced them right. So Wu-Tang Clan, $19.99. Mobb Deep, $29.99. Master P, $5.99. I would still look at them, though, because if it's a $20 cassette here, and if it's selling for $50, $60 on eBay, I would still grab it for $20. You're still going to double, triple your money, but they did their homework. A lot of stores aren't. This one is specifically for Joy, and any of those of you who live in Tucson. This is the the cassette section in Zia Records. They just found like some shelves that weren't really set up for cassettes. This is 3 rows deep. So if you don't happen to look on row 1, you would never know there's 2 more rows hiding behind it. So being me, I had to pull them all out and found the good stuff in the back.
People are saying it sounds bad stuff.
Yeah, you're getting teeny. Okay, turn off you. Let's try that. Stop serving up your video. Keep your audio, turn off your video.
All right, how's this?
Now that's clean.
Is that
I
clean?
with the admins and they said it's fine. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
I'm hearing you, sorry.
Yep. All right, now this is Portland, and this record store, every time I stop in it, the cassette section gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what is funny about this is this record store has been there for many, many years, and over the years they kept expanding the store. Well, they're built on a hill, so as they expand the store, every new section is lower than the section before. So you're kind of going downhill through the store. And this little nook is kind of hard to see. We are?
I don't know. Try again. I mean, we're dealing with bandwidth issues somewhere in here.
I'm gonna switch Wi-Fi. Let me see if that does anything.
Angela said chat is chat has been disabled.
Yeah, I stopped the chat.
Okay.
All right, so I switch Wi-Fi. See if that fixes anything.
That sounds better right now, but let's see when you go.
Which 6 days? What are you seeing? Come on, help me out.
Boston stuff.
Okay, that's what I need to know. So we're still seeing Boston, huh?
Yeah, we're on Boston.
Which is
Now
weird because.
Now it just changed to Portland.
Okay. So in this record store.
Sideways.
What? Let me see it.
Oh, it just went back to the
my wife came to find me, and she didn't know this nook existed, so she scoured the entire store twice, and there's a second floor, and then she went outside. I don't know if she thought I left her, just abandoned her in a record store, because I was on my knees scanning the bottom shelf, so I said, oh my God, here you are. All right, this is Las Vegas, and what I wanted to share with you is on the left is how it used to be. And we walked in last week because I was, prepping for this webinar, and I looked on the right, I went back to where the cassettes used to be, and they weren't there. And I said, where are your cassettes? And the employee took me over and showed me these two little racks on the right. And I said, well, where'd the rest of the section go? And she said, someone bought them all. And I'm like, see, everyone's buying cassettes. And then here is Seattle. This is an entire cassette section. All three of these bins, are all cassettes. Cassettes are the deal, man. People want them. All right. So here's your first tip. I'm going to do a lot of tips throughout this. Your first tip is if you're traveling for work or pleasure, I recommend highly flying Southwest. You can check 2 bags for free. You get a carry-on for free, and you get a personal bag, which is I use an oversized satchel. And when you fly with your spouse or your significant other, now you got 4 bags checked and 4 bags on the plane. So this is how my suitcases usually look. They're either filled with breakables like cassettes or breakables like tiki bugs. So that is my first tip. All right, another place to find them, garage sales. People, everyone always says to me, well, doesn't everyone know how to sell their good stuff online? No, they never will. I go to garage sales and find cool crap all the time. And cassettes is one of the things that be furthest from people's minds that are worth any kind of money. All right, tip number 2. You'll see my animations won't work, so I'm just going to do this. Don't cherry pick when the deal is already too good. All right, all these cassettes were one collection. I said, how much? And he goes, I don't know. And I started to cherry pick, and I said, all right, come on, give me a price for this whole thing. And he goes, $10. And I came to this Snoop Dogg cassette, and this cassette's worth $25 by itself. So cherry picking would have been just a waste of time. Take them all. Someone today in the thrifting board said, I need to watch the CD webinar, but someone's giving away all these CDs for free. What should I do? Okay, take those CDs and then watch the webinar. When the deal's good, don't waste time, because if you got to throw away stuff, you got to throw away stuff. No biggie, but just get the deal and keep on trucking. All right, estate sales, just like garage sales, especially older people, you will always find people's music, and it depends on the age they were when they either passed away or moved into the old folks' home. You'll see collections of vinyl. You'll see collections of CDs and cassettes. A lot of pickers at estate sales will run hard to the CDs and the vinyl, but no one but you guys listening today is running hard to the cassette section. And this may be a shocker to some of you, but the antique stores, I always find tons of music in antique stores, all kinds, records, CDs, and cassettes. And I was just hanging out in an antique store a couple of days ago, and it had this little case of cassettes, and there are actually a couple good ones in here. Nothing like earth-shattering, but there's a couple good $12 to $15 cassettes right there. All right, tip number 3, it's in 30 parts and 2 subsets. All right, so part number 1, see the little felt pad on the cassette? If you don't know how cassettes, if you don't know how the cassette is played, when you push the play button, the cassette reader gets engaged, and it runs, the tape runs by, the cassette reader's reading it, and the cassette reader is actually pushing against the tape, and that sponge is pushing back. So if that sponge ain't there, your cassette is going to sound like this. So you need to make sure that is there. However, it's not there, it's not a deal killer, still buy it. Now, if the pad falls off right at, in your hands, you still got the pad. You could use that one if you don't have anything else. Just pull the tape up a little bit, grab yourself some glue, grab yourself some tweezers. I'm fully aware that's out of focus. I didn't realize it when I shot the picture. And then stick it down and let it dry. Okay, so that's subset A and how to fix that. Now, subset B is you can actually buy new felt pads. They're self-adhesive. They're on these little strings right here. And let me stop screen sharing for a sec. because we're doing this on the fly. So they come just like this. And all you do is you get a pair of tweezers, you pull one off, you stick it down, and done. Way quicker than glue. It sets up immediately. You can get these online. I just went to eBay, found the first thing that looked good with good feedback, and that is who I bought from. So I didn't bother shopping for price this time. I just wanted to get it there quick and someone who was doing it well. Now, part 2 of this is you want to stick your pen or pencil in there and make sure it spins. If it's stuck, it's going to be a problem. Now, you can take all those screws off and really work on the inside of the cassette, but man, I would not do that unless you have a $100 cassette or a $1,000 cassette, because they're out there. Vanilla Ice to the extreme is not one of those cassettes. So if this was stuck, I would just let it be. And then last but not least, visually grade it by looking at the tape in the window. If you see any wrinkles, no one's going to want that. So I don't care if it's just a little wrinkle. If you can see space, that means there's a wrinkle. You're going to want to leave that cassette behind. Everything running okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, we can always find ways around things. All right, thrift stores. Picture on the left was the cassette section at the Tropicana Savers 3 weeks ago. As you see, the bottom shelf didn't have any cassettes. Well, that is the shelf this week. They've filled up the whole end cap. Now, cut back about 6-7 months ago, they only had one shelf of cassettes, and it was never full. And they used to have 3 end caps of CDs. Now they only have 2 end caps of CDs and 1 of full cassettes. So they even realize that people are buying cassettes. I got to imagine they were probably pitching cassettes before, only putting out a handful at a time. But now that they see the cassettes are selling, they're actually putting out more and more cassettes. All right, tip number 4, check the just out card. So the day that I was here looking at these, I was already done. I had peeled off all the good cassettes, and then this cart went by me, and I ran over to it. And if you look at the picture on the right, you will see all the good stuff that I grabbed, and I took the picture of the full cart on the left after I snagged all the cassettes. So I grabbed the Rage Against the Machine, AC/DC, Leonard Skinner, Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Doors soundtrack, Blondie, The Cure, Metallica, Depeche Mode, and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I did leave behind Barbra Streisand and Anne Murray. Those are the kind of cassettes that no one cares about. All right, tip number 5. If you see a crummy cassette case on a cassette you want, and they're all priced the exact same way at this Savers, they're all 99 cents. All you do, and I had a video, I will not share the video because I don't want to mess up, but all you do is you switch from the crappy case to the good case. I'm sure I will catch some grief for that, but hey, they're all the same price, so it doesn't matter which cases I want. But if I'm going to tell you in a little bit to buy fresh cases, but in the moment at the store, if you see a really good case, switch it out. Don't forget your childhood bedroom. I just typed in teenage bedroom, and this is one of the first pictures that came up. So tons of great posters and hats, but tons of cassettes too. And I have cassettes back in my mom and dad's house. I'm sure some of you have music back at your parents' house. You might be sitting on some gems, so make sure to check out your childhood bedroom. All right, giving you some good tips so far, but this is one of the most important ones. So if you write anything down, write this down. Tip number 6. Do not buy these specific record club tapes. All right, remember when we get 8 cassettes for a penny, or 8 CDs, or 8 records, or 8 8-tracks, depending on how old you are? And these are the cassettes you would get. There's 2 lines, either red or pink, depending on the lighting you're in. The 2 lines are run across the top and the bottom. What the record club did was they used the thinnest, cheapest tape possible in the 1980s. So now, bless you. So now in 2019, it's not like fine wine. It doesn't age so well. It was crappy tape in 80. It's way crappier in 2019. So specifically, the ones with these 2 red bars, don't buy them. And hey, online, I know this is crazy, but there is a lot of money to be made buying cassettes online. Now, as we get into a lot of these screenshots that I took, don't clean your glasses. Don't try and adjust your screen. There's a lot of sellers who have blurry photos. It's blowing my mind, but their examples are the ones I wanted to share with you guys. All right, so here's 83 hard rock and heavy metal cassettes for 99 bucks. So you're looking at an $11 shipping. So you're looking at like $1.25, $1.50 a cassette. There's a couple cassettes in there that are really, really good. They're like $15, $20 cassettes. Then there's a lot of like $7, $8 cassettes, and there's a lot of cassettes that are good for groupings. So this would be a decent collection to buy on eBay to turn around and flip. Here is a collection of 20 thrash metal cassettes, and I don't know how it gets 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's 4x5. I thought it was 4x6. At 69 bucks, you're looking at a little over $3 a cassette. And thrash metal is one of the good genres to flip. And I would think every one of these is worth at least $10 by themselves. And they're offering free shipping. So again, could be a good collection to split up. And now, last but not least, in collections on eBay, I circled the one in the top row there. That is Van Halen's greatest hits. If you can sell on Amazon, and most of you... Did I just sell Van Halen?
At that very second.
Shut up. Oh my God, I just sold a Van Halen book. That's so crazy. So if you can sell on Amazon, most of you can't. Some of you can. The Van Halen greatest hits commands $35 used every time I find it. And so this whole collection here, I could do a buy it now for $30. Well, I know I'm going to make my money back for the entire collection on one Van Halen cassette because I can sell on Amazon. And that Guns N' Roses Spaghetti Incident, Guns N' Roses Lies, those are really good cassettes. Those are like $10 cassettes. So again, a great little collection to break up. And I was checking Mercari. They have not a lot of cassette lots, but I see a lot of solds. So people are selling them. But here's the deal. If you look at the second row, furthest on the right, it is 3 Iron Maiden cassettes sold for $13. You're going to see 3 Iron Maiden cassettes coming up in a minute that sold for a lot more. So someone might have bought them on Mercari for $13 and taken them to eBay and turned them into a lot more money. All right, so local apps. If you're not using your local apps, it's the way people buy and sell nowadays. You should be. So the first one here, this one right here, this is OfferUp. So that's the cassette stuff on OfferUp. This one is Facebook Marketplace. This one is 5 Mile, and this one is Let Go. So once a day, and we've talked about these before. You can set up saved searches to send you links that when things come up. But once a day, you should check out the cassettes, the CDs, and whatever your specialty is on all these local apps. They should be on your phone. All right, tip number 7. Anyone know the artist Heino? I'm going to guess most of you, maybe all of you have never heard of him. He is one of the biggest selling German artists of all time. Now, when we're done later, go YouTube him. You're going to be like, what? This guy is popular? And so I was going to grab this the other day because he is oddly popular. And then I looked a little bit closer, which you should always do. So the tip is check that the tape and the cover are legit. The cover was photocopied paper. That's all it was. And as you can see, the tape isn't the tape from the company. Someone made that tape. So not good. All right, and then retail. Retail's getting into this. And I'm not talking record store day retail. I'm talking about other retail stores that don't normally specialize in music, let alone cassettes. So my wife and I are in the record store in Vegas last year, and I see the Atomic Blonde soundtrack on cassette. And I'm like, wait a minute. That movie came out like this year or last year. It was 2017. Why in the world is there a soundtrack on cassette for this movie? It's crazy. But I didn't think much about it. I bought it. It was $5. And then I come home and I find out Urban Outfitter, the clothing store, and they do have fun accessories and stuff. They had an exclusive release of Atomic Blonde on cassette. Someone just sold one for $25. When I sold mine last year, it was $35. So that was pretty cool. And then last year, Target, for some odd reason, they got rid of their CD sections, and they brought out Britney Spears' Baby One More Time on cassette, $11.99. Teenagers were buying multiple copies of a cassette last year of a release that came out 15 years ago? I have no idea. But you can get anywhere from 20 to 23 bucks. Not a huge return, but you could double your money had you bought a couple. So retail's getting into the game. All right, step number 2. Now that we're finding the stuff, how do you know if you should buy it? All right, so you scan it with your Amazon or your eBay app on your phone. I would assume and hope that you all have one or both of those apps. There's actually 3. So the eBay app is the left-hand corner. The normal Amazon app is the middle one, and then the seller app is the upper right-hand corner. If you're not a seller, you can't use the seller app. The nice thing about the seller app is it gives you the ranking number of the item you're scanning. So we have talked about scanning CDs. We have talked about scanning anything with a barcode. It works the exact same way with cassettes. Now, not every cassette has a barcode, but the ones that do, you can scan them, and then Amazon will tell you what it's selling for, and you can base your educated buying decisions on that. So if you scan this Billy Bragg CD, if I played the video, you would see that it scans like, oh, it's selling for about 15 bucks on Amazon. But the problem is the rank is 1.17 million. So 1,200,000 basically. So if you don't know what rank means, the way rank works on Amazon, it's per category. So of all the cassettes that have sold in the recent past on Amazon, this Billy Bragg cassette comes in at 1,200,000. So that tells you not a quick flipper. You can also take your eBay app and you can scan barcodes and you can take pictures of the product in your hand. This works with any product. And eBay will recognize it and it'll show you what's for sale and what the solds are. So you use your apps to make those educated buying decisions. If you scan a barcode on cassette on eBay and you go to solds and you see a sold of 32 cents, $1.99, 50 cents, don't buy it. You see solds of $15, $20, absolutely buy it. Now this kind of goes for when you're in a record store or a thrift store. If you're buying a full collection at a garage sale for 10 bucks, don't waste your time. Just get the deal and head home. All right, now you bought them, and now you've determined what you need, and now you got to sort them. So when I was getting ready to do this webinar, I'd been buying cassettes for a year, but I hadn't been listing cassettes for a year. So I decided before doing this was to, get firsthand experience of what was happening right this moment in the world of selling cassettes. So I sorted out and I counted out, and I had 732 cassettes that I had not yet done anything with. And so I sorted them and I started selling. So how do you sort them? Well, you got to figure out if you're doing groupings or the cassette by itself. So if you're doing it by yourself, that's it. It's a cassette by itself. You have done the research, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in a second, but you have determined that it isn't a good idea to put this in a grouping because this sells well by itself. I sold this cake cassette for $22, and I actually kind of undersold it. I probably should have got $30, $35 for it. But still, for a cassette, I was happy with 22 bucks. I sold this cassette by the band Cancer. I know all of you love Cancer, and it's in your collection at home, for $35. And I sold this Ghetto Boys cassette for 40 bucks. Now, Bushwick Bill, the smaller of the 4 guys there, just passed away last week, and I sold this before he passed away. Had I still had this when he passed away, I probably could have got 50 or 60 bucks for it. Because anytime someone famous dies, especially musicians, the way people mourn nowadays is they go to eBay, they go to Amazon, and they purchase music by that artist. So even though I got 40 bucks for it, that was an awesome sale. Like I said, could have been 50 bucks. And I just sold this one this week. The Vandals is a punk band, $22. Now, if you're not doing it by himself, you got to do them in groups. Now, you can do groups 2 different ways. The first way is by the same artist. So here are 4 cassettes from the band Dinosaur Jr., and I got $31.59 for them. Here is someone's collection of 6 Neil Young cassettes. Now, these cassettes by themselves aren't worth all that much, but together they're more attractive, and they sold for $25. Here are 10 Madonnas, the top one being just a cassette single, sold for $35, which is $3.50 a piece, and that's about the going rate. But why list 10 different things and sell for $350? Just list one lot of 10 and you get $35. Because the one thing we know about Madonna, one of the best-selling artists of all time, and she came up in the tape era still. So all these tapes sold millions upon millions. But there are some rare Madonnas we're going to talk about in a minute. Kiss cassette lot, 3 cassettes for $14. Here's 5 Slayers sold for $26. They went at auction, got 21 bids. Here are 3 Faith No Mores that sold for $18. Here are 4 Beastie Boys. They got $35 for those. Beasties is a good one to group together. And then this is one of my sales. This is 2 Public Enemies. Yo Bum Rush a show, and it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. $15. Now, I want to show you why you put it in groups. Here are those 2 cassettes selling by themselves. $5 each. Well, I'd rather sell one time for $15 than 2 separate listings for $5 each. So that's how you kind of judge. You look and you decide, okay, this ain't selling for much, but I can group it together. I can make a group of Public Enemy, or I can make a group of 4 LL Cool J's and get $20. Or better off, if I got 9 Motorheads, I'm going to get $6. Now, sometimes you don't do it by the same artist. You do it by genre. So, for instance, this is the lot I just sold. This is 90s alternative rock with bands like the Pixies, Morphine, Mother Love Bone, Sonic Youth, Husker Du, and I got $40. Here is a collection of 78 hard rock and heavy metal cassettes that sold for $110. However, my keen eye spots a comedy cassette in there. I see a punk cassette in there. So this might be a case of someone who thinks it's all heavy metal, because I don't mean to throw my mother under the bus, but she thought Bare Naked Ladies was a heavy metal band. So if you know Bare Naked Ladies, you're laughing right now. Here is 28 British rock cassettes. I like that grouping. These are all British bands: Traffic, Small Faces, Steve Winwood, Blind Faith, Jimmy Page, Mott the Hoople, but great, 28 for $65. And then here's a rap, hip hop, R&B lot. I normally don't put Prince with rap. You know, I don't ever have a lot where that has Prince and Run DMC and the Fat Boys and Belle Biv DeVoe. What I would do is I would probably have a Prince lot. I would definitely have a rap lot. And if I had enough, I would have a New Jack Swing lot. Now, if you don't know what New Jack Swing it was a genre that lasted 2.5 years. In the early 90s, Belle Biv DeVoe was part of it. And so I would put that together. Now, I don't want you to group things that don't go together, because that's just silly. Here's a lot that just sold for $66. There's 70 cassettes. And although this is exactly my music collection, normal people do not listen to Madonna and Public Enemy and Guns N' Roses and Wham and Prince and Bob Marley and Duran Duran. There's not a lot of me's out there. So you're going to want to put them into more like categories. And on top of that all, that Madonna cassette right in the upper right there, that's a Korean import. That is worth 15 or so bucks by itself. So I wouldn't even put that in a lot. That would definitely be something I would sell by itself. And here's 42 classic rocks. Okay, well, I always put classic rock groupings together, but let me tell you what isn't classic rock. Aretha Franklin, not classic rock. Temptations, not classic rock. Commodores, not classic rock. B.B. King, not classic rock. Neither is Al Green. So what they should have done is they should have had some classic rock. So like, yeah, here's what goes together. Clapton, Eagles, ZZ Top, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Rolling Stones. Tina Turner goes with Lionel Richie. That goes with Al Green. Those kind of things go together. So you got to make sure you understand the music and what goes with what. Now, how do you know if you should sell in groups or solo? Type or scan the UPC into eBay or Amazon. Anything above $10, I would sell solo. Anything below, I would set aside until you had a nice grouping. Now, don't go rushing groupings. I mean, I had 732 cassettes to work with right out the gate. Had I been doing this all along, I would have waited till I got a nice grouping of rap. I wouldn't just list when I had 2. I'd wait till I'd have 10 or 12. Now, when you type in the barcode numbers, and this goes for any barcode, not just cassettes, for anything, you got to type in the 2 control numbers also. On this cassette, it is the 0 and the 2. So you have to type everything from the 0 through the 2. Now, if you happen to run across a cassette like this, there's a lot of cassettes that don't show what the number is for the second control number. It's there, but they didn't put it on the barcode. So what you got to do is you have to type 07599253224 and then add in the number 0 and hit enter. If nothing comes up, then get rid of the last 0 and then change that to a 1. If nothing comes up, delete the 1 and type 2. And you go until you figure out which number it is. In this case, it was the number 2, and it's the family part of the Prince groupings, and it's selling on Amazon for around $50. And I've said this many times, in case you don't know, this is the first time that Nothing Compares to You, which was written by Prince but made famous by Sinead O'Connor, this is the first time that song ever shows up. Prince actually wrote it for this group, the family, but it never hit. But some people go looking for that specific song. All right, tip number 8.
Did you need to tell people to mark the questions as questions? I see a couple of the key next to
I'll tell them in a second. Do yourself a favor. If you're going to sell any product, CDs, cassettes, toys, any product that you're going to be listing based off the UPC, do yourself a huge favor and get yourself a scanner. Now, I'm really good with a 10 keypad on the side of the keyboard, so I can type pretty fast, because way before scanners, I was selling CDs with barcodes, and I got really good at typing. But man, when I have the wireless Bluetooth scanner, you just scan the cassette, boom, pops up on your screen, and you're off and running. Saves you so much work. And they're not expensive. And I don't know any specific brand. I picked up this Terra, and it works great, and it was like $30. It earns its money every day. All right, tip number 9. Don't ever, did I say ever, use your flash. Look at this listing. And if you look down below, they only had 2 pictures total. They never even showed the cover of the cassettes. But when you use your flash, this is what happens. So go 4 rows over and 4 cassettes down. Tell me what cassette that is, and the 5th one, and the 6th one. You can't, because someone used their flash. Don't use your flash. Have good lighting. All right, and tip number 10 is make your picks stand out in a crowd. Most people do bigger collections like this. I do them like this. It's kind of a controlled mess, but kind of photographs a little more edgy. It's not so, rock and roll is supposed to be edgy. It's not supposed to be everyone in a line. But look, I set them. I didn't just dump them. I set them. So if you know classic rock, you can see that's Bruce Springsteen. You can see that's Jimi Hendrix up at the top. You can see it's Nazareth. You can see it Boston peeking out. You can see Derek and the Dominoes. And then as I go through the rest of the pictures, then I break them down into groups where you can see them very nice front on. Now, if you're doing solo cassettes, take your first shot on an angle. Everyone else takes the cassette up and down. And you do that because over 50% of all transactions happen on mobile. When people are scrolling through, say they're not looking for a specific Vandals cassette, they just put in Vandals cassette and they're scrolling. Well, those of us who take our pictures on the angle, it'll stick out in their eye because everyone else is going up and down. We're on the angle, like, let me check that out. So there it is. I do the one on the angle. I do the back straight up so you can read the songs. And then I slide the cassette out so you can kind of see the cassette. And you can see there is no wrinkles in the tape. Okay, we're going to pause there for a quick second while I switch to the other half. But Stacy wanted me to let everyone know that you can mark your question as a question over on the right in the chat. Okay, cool. And that way, when we get to questions, it'll be easier to see that. All right. Let me get this ready. Again, I do apologize for the failure of technology today, but we figured it out. I think it's working okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
What is this, like halftime?
Yeah. This is the this is intermission at the Broadway musical. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we are. Tip number 11. Now, this is where the good meat's coming in. Keep your eyes open for cassettes that were released between 1999 and 2003. 2003, for all intents and purposes, was the last time major companies made cassettes. There were smaller ones that did still. But those cassettes are worth a lot more money. Their CD counterpart isn't, because no one was buying cassettes, especially by 2003. So those of you that were still buying cassettes in 2003, you were one of the last holdouts. The rest of us had switched fully to CDs. And so a CD that sold 2 million, the cassette sold like 50,000. So if someone in 2019 is looking for that cassette, they're going to pay more because there's not a lot of them. And here are some examples. Nickelback, Silver Side Up. This first one sold for 99 cents. The middle one sold for $4. And the last one sold for 99 cents, but it's 2 CDs, so it really sold for 50 cents. So on average, it's about $2. But if you have the cassette, $15. Britney Spears, this album sold bazillions. As you can see on eBay, you can get it for $1.26 or $3.81. Ooh, why'd that one have $12 shipping? Whoa, my. Or $5 free shipping. Or cassette, the average obviously is $20. So you would never pick up the CD to flip. It's just not worth your time. If someone's selling it for $5 free shipping or $1.26 with $3.83 shipping, it ain't worth your time. But $20 for the cassette, ooh, excuse me, that is worth your time. Black Eyed Peas, Ella Funk. This is when Fergie joined the band and sold a bazillion albums, CDs. So $1.53, $3.53, and $1.79, or on cassette, $22, and it was only in very good condition. And I can see the lettering is starting to get wiped off. If this was sealed, $30, $35, $40 easy. Here's Eminem's 8 Mile soundtrack. It was a huge hit, both the movie and the soundtrack. Look, that middle one is brand new. You could have got it for $1.49 with only $2.75 shipping, or on cassette for $22.50. Here is Scarface. Scarface is another member of the Ghetto Boys, which I showed you earlier. His album, The Fix, you can get on CD for $2.55, $5.49, or $4.19. But on cassette, $23. And again, only in very good condition. If that was brand new, even better. All right, now if you took the CD webinar, you saw the band Twisted, and we talked about Most Tasteless, and this CD has a couple different covers. Well, it sells for around $15 right now. The cassette also came out with 2 different covers, and that the one cover is selling for $36 and the other is selling for $50. That is a hell of a leap. Most of you probably know Tori Amos. So here we are, 2002. This is the death, the final nail's been put in the coffin. This is the death knell for cassettes. You can buy this CD on eBay brand new for $1 or $50 on cassettes. 50. All right, I guarantee no one in the chat has heard of Project Pat. But this CD flips quite regularly. I flipped it a few times. And as you can see, it flips for around $15 on a CD. But on cassette, $75. Now, I hope by now you're like, oh my gosh, I got to be paying attention to cassettes. And the band Tool is an amazing, amazing band. This album is called Lateralus. And as you can see, $8, $5, $4, because it sold a lot of copies. But on cassette, $108 and $130. Again, 2001, it was the end of cassettes. So people will spend big money. Now, tip number 12 is pay attention to nuances. Now, this is the same Kid Rock single. It was a promo single. And as you can see, the packaging on the right is a little bit different. On the back, they added a tour that Kid was on, the Warped Tour. That's when he first got signed to a major. And as you can see, the one on the left sells for around $18, but the one on the right in what they call the cigarette pack sells, or cigarette box, sells for $50. It is the exact same cassette single, but it's the packaging that sells it. So make sure, if there's a nuance to a cassette you're looking up, make sure to realize, do you have the $18 nuance or do you have the $50 nuance? Because we want to make sure you don't leave any money on the table. All right. Tip number 13, cellophane is a game changer. When a cassette is sealed, cassettes you would normally skip, you should absolutely purchase. Here is my boy Vanilla Ice to the Extreme, his big album with Ice Ice Baby, $5 used or $12 new. Here is The Wall, Roger Waters' The Wall. So this is not the Pink Floyd The Wall. This is when Roger Waters broke away from Pink Floyd and did this live in Berlin. You can get it used for $8 or new for $25. And I want to give a little shout out to my boy, Tony Boss. This was actually his listing. So Tony Boss likes to flip cassettes just as much as I do. And so when I was digging through things to show examples, I saw the idea. I'm like, oh, that's Tony. So, hey, Tony. Mariah Carey, the used Butterfly cassette, $5.50, sealed, $25. And look at, come on, people, please take better pictures. These are awful. You see the shadow of the phone. It's kind of far away. Look how far away this Metallica Kill 'Em All is. Get up on it. So this is the 1995 version. So 95, which should have been better sound quality, sold used for $8.50. Here's the 83 version sealed for $50. So as you can see, a great difference. And then last on this example, Judas Priest Painkiller, $4 used and still sealed new, $21. All right, so I'm going to tell you things you should be buying, but now first I'm going to tell you things you should skip. Country. So I do apologize to all our country music fans watching tonight, but country on cassette just doesn't sell. Now, there's going to be one or two rare occasions, but I couldn't even figure out what those were. Here are 66 country tapes of bands, artists we all know: Willie Nelson, George Strait, Ricky Skaggs. It sold for $10. That's sad. So country is not worth your time. So please stay away from country. Even sealed is just a loser, and I've experienced it, so I know it's just not worth your time. All right, tip number 14 is always read the liner notes. Here's the inside. If I just sold this cassette without looking inside, I would have never known it was autographed by the two guys. Frontline Assembly's two main guys, and so they autographed it on the inside. That definitely increases your value. Now, I always get the question, Jay, do we have to have autograph certified? And here's what I say to that. If you have a Mickey Mantle baseball or a Marilyn Monroe movie script and they're autographed, oh, absolutely. If you have the lead singer of Frontline Assembly had autographed it inside of a cassette label, you don't need to have that authenticated. There'd be no reason for anyone to fake that. And there's not a ton of money to fake the lead singer of Frontline Assembly's autograph. There is a ton of money to be made to fake Mickey Mantle's autograph, but don't worry about it. I have sold autographed CDs, records, cassettes all my career, and I've never had any issues. All right, step 3. Now, I want to show you what you should be looking for, because there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of stuff you can skip. So I want you to know what you should be looking for. And there are 3 main styles of music that you should be concentrating on. The first one is punk. Now, I'm well aware. Ooh, would I just sell on Amazon? Oh, it was just a question. Damn, I was hoping it was a cassette. I was so hoping it was a cassette. Punk. I'm well aware that some people don't know what punk is. I taught a class and I was explaining punk, and a member of the class said, what's punk? And he was about my age, maybe a couple years older, but not super young and not super old. And I said, like Sex Pistols, The Clash, The Ramones. Yep, he didn't know any of those. So where he grew up and the people he hung out with, no one listened to punk music. So what I would do, and I think I even put it in the files, it was just kind of like the top 50 punk bands, just to get you a running knowledge of punk music. You could just Wikipedia it later too, and it'll tell you something. But punk does quite well on cassette. Bad Brains is a punk band out of DC. This cassette sells quite often, so it also tells me it's out there a bunch, and it sells quite often for $40. It's called Yellow. That's the name of the cassette. Black Flag had Henry Rollins as their lead singer for a while. Some of you might know Henry. He acted in some movies. He's quite a good live speaker. This cassette sold for $14 in only good condition. Misfits is the band that had Danzig in it. This sold Canadian 25, but American 1883. Here's another Black Flag that sold for $44.44. Good luck for the Asian community. The Stooges. If you don't know the Stooges, that is Iggy Pop. Everyone knows the song Lust for Life. Has been in about 10,000 different commercials, but this sold for $46 in very good condition. And NoFX is a more current punk band, and this cassette sold for $30. And Sham 69's cassette sold for Great British pounds of 16, but US dollars of 20. Now, I would say the biggest two, though, are the next two: heavy metal. Most of us have a working idea what heavy metal is. Now, Pantera was one of the biggest metal bands of its time, and this was one of their first releases on cassette, Projects in the Jungle. Now, this just sold in a very good broken case for $75. I had one, and I had one that I hadn't listed yet. And the night that Vinnie Paul, the drummer of Pantera, passed away, I had my lovely wife take a few quick pictures for me because she knows what I do. She took it on the angle like a good girl, and she sent it over to me. I listed it. I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. It had already sold for $125 on cassette. But still, even now that we were a year or so removed from his death, it's still selling for $75. Motorhead lead singer was Lemmy. Man, everyone should know Lemmy. But here is the UK version of this cassette, sold for $25. Slayer was one of the first thrash metal bands. Their first US release just sold for $50. I got a funny quick Slayer story. We went and saw a Slayer concert. We got free tickets to, but we only wanted to see the opening act. And when we went to leave, there was no exit because who leaves before the headliner? And I asked the guy working the tickets, I go, hey, how do I get out of here? He goes, there's no ins and outs. And I said, oh, I know. I want to leave. He goes, you don't want to see Slayer? I'm like, no. And he patted me on the back and said, good for you. And then let me out. Now, here's 3 Iron Maidens. Now, of the 3 here, 2 were the exact same from that little collection on Mercari that sold for $13. But look, sold for $35. So you could be buying collections on Mercari for $13 and getting 3 times your money on eBay. Now, where you get into real money is what we call death metal or black metal, thrash metal, and there's like a zillion other names, but that's the main names. If you cannot read the font, that is death metal. This says Dark Throne. Trust me, it does. This cassette sold for $40. Here is Mortician. You can pretty much read Mortician. Mortician sold for $40 used. Here's Mayhem. Mayhem's a little tricky to read. Sold for $57. This is Necrophobic. Sold for $172 for a cassette. Now, all you got to do is you go to a record store, you look for their cassettes, look for the fonts you can't read. That'll be your death metal. And then this is my favorite, Crematory, because holy crap, that is hard to read. Crematory sold for $172. All right, but rap is also a big deal. The Fugees, The Score, was one of the biggest albums of all time, sold over 10 million copies, but most were sold on CD. If you found the CD right now, you'd be lucky to get $1 for it, but you can get $20 on cassette. Tribe Called Quest was a big group till the main guy, Q-Tip, passed away. $27 for the Low End Theory on cassette. We got it from here. Thank you for your service. $50 in very good condition. And Midnight Marauders, $35. So as you can see, if you happen to find Tribe Called Quest on cassette, pick it up. Yep. Outcast from John's Corner of the World, Atlanta. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, $47 used in very good condition. Nas, considered by a lot as one of the best rappers of all time. Illmatic sold for $53 at auction, 16 bids. So this person was like, let's try it at auction.
Did you say that Q-Tip died?
Yeah.
That was correct. Fife died.
Oh, Fife. Sorry.
Q-Tip's still alive.
Sorry, Q-Tip. My apologies. Cheers to Q-Tip. So sorry. All right. Beastie Boys. This was their second album. It was kind of a dud, even though it is a brilliant piece of work. It has definitely earned its place in hip-hop history after the fact. But when they released it on a whole bunch of different colored cassettes. So as you can see, the gray swirl sold for $60 and the blue sold for $50. So we're going back to pay attention to your nuances. Now, collectors will want every color. And you might think, if you're not a collector, you might not understand that. So I want to throw in tiki mugs, and you're going to be like, the hell does tiki mugs have to do with cassettes? We are collectors. This is the same mug 6 times in 6 different color setups. You need all 6, right, honey?
Sure.
Same thing here. Here are 5 of the Mr. Valley High. These are all different throughout the years, but if you're a collector, you need all of them. So collectors will want the blue, will want the gray, will want the green, so they can show them off to their friends. All right, I'm sure everyone knows Notorious B.I.G. I for sure know he's dead. But this was Ready to Die, his breakthrough album, sold for $105 in good condition. So it goes new, like new, very good, good. That's one of the worst conditions. 23 bids, $105. And from my neck of the woods, a rap group called Bone Thugs and Harmony. Before they were called Bone Thugs and Harmony, they were called Bone Enterprises. And their first release on cassette was this Faces of Death. And this was the first pressing, $250. Now, if you're in Cleveland, hello, mother. Go to the record stores and find some old school Bone Thugs and Harmony, and that's going to be money. Now, I would think a lot of you know the Wu-Tang Clan. They get their own category. If you don't know the Wu-Tang Clan, you know, there's been a lot of super groups over the years. So what a super group is when you take like a lead singer from one band and put him with the rest of the band from another band, it becomes a super group. Audio Slave is a great example of that. Audio Slave had Chris Cornell, the lead singer of Soundgarden, with the band members of Rage Against the Machine minus their lead singer. That's called a super group. Well, Wu-Tang Clan are guys that grew up together on Staten Island, and they were a super group out of the gate. Even though they didn't come from anyplace else, they were all amazing MCs, and all their cassettes do very, very well. And what I would do is I would definitely go Wikipedia them so you know all the members of the Wu-Tang Clan. But so here is their first album, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, sells used for $41. RZA is one of the members. This was his alter ego, Bobby Digital, sold for $40. Ghostface Killer, his cassette, Iron Man, sold for $20. And what happens is on all these solo cassettes, it's produced by one of the Wu-Tang members. It'll have other Wu-Tang members guesting on it. That's why this person put RZA in the title, because RZA probably produced this cassette, so you can get some bonus keywords. Here was Wu-Tang's second release, Wu-Tang Forever, sold for $35. Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links. Now, this tells me it didn't sell well on cassette at the time because, man, $145. Woo! That's awesome. Old Dirty Bastard, he passed away, unfortunately, because he was awesome. He did return to the 36 Chambers. His just sold for brand new for $40. And most of this stuff is recents. So I'm showing you guys what's recently sold. Ghostface Killer sold for $30 US, 40 in Canada. Jizza sold for $20 for his Liquid Swords cassette. You Gods sold for $14. You God is, you know, if you line them all up in order of importance and popularity, You God would definitely be at the short end. And then I didn't even know or remember Shaheem. Shaheem wasn't one of the main 9 Wu-Tang members, but definitely part of the Wu-Tang family. And this Shaheem just sold for $32 and still sealed. Someone bought this cassette in '94 and never opened it. That always blows my mind. All right, so a few other things that are not fun in the categories of rap, metal, or punk. What I want to share with you to show you the kind of money that can be made. Now, Frank Zappa, I would hope most of you know, he was very prolific. He put out a lot of music. But I keep seeing this cassette selling over and over on eBay in the $100, $120 range. So it's out there somewhere. So people are selling multiples of them. I mean, many different sellers are selling this. It is out there to be found. None of you know who Gling Glow is. I happen to. Gling Glow was Bjork's band. And if you don't know who Bjork is, you'll remember her from the Grammys many, many years ago when she wore a swan dress. And then Ellen wore her version of the swan dress. Well, this was her like jazz band, and used to be worth a lot on CD. Then it came back into print, and but it's out of print on cassettes. Ooh. And as you can see, sold for $100. Now, Hum was a one-hit wonder in the '90s, and we had this. I think we still have this CD, and we saw them in concert. And I'm shocked the cassette is selling for this much, but just shows you. That's why you scan them. That's why you check, because if you scan this cassette, you would see, ooh, this Hum is selling for quite a bit of money. Now, we all know this soundtrack, The Shining, and in very good condition, this version of the soundtrack sold for $90 at auction, 8 bids. Now, there's been a lot of Transformer movies. I like the first couple. The ones with Marky Mark, it's just gotten ridiculous. But the real good Transformer movie was the cartoon movie from 1986. This is one of the CDs I told you to look out for, and the cassette does even better. The CD is like $50. Look at this cassette. April 22nd, someone sold one for $75, and then on May 26th, someone sold one for $155. So that tells me the seller in April undershot themselves. They left half the money on the table. We all know Smokey and the Bandit. I am sure of that. One of my all-time favorite movies. A cassette in just good condition. As you can see, all the bubbling on the paper on top of the cassette. Sold for $20. And funny enough, my wife and I were just watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 5, the one with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger the other night. And Part 2 cassette sells for $50. Now, this is someone's listing. They have one sideways picture. They don't have the back, nothing else. Make sure to take, please, I don't care what you're selling, take good quality pictures. All right, let's talk about imports, because imports always tend to have an increase in price, whether it be CD, cassette, vinyl. This, Journey Frontiers on just a regular version cassette would be like $1 cassette, but the Japanese import, $20. Here's Kiss Argentina import, $30. Everything's written in Spanish. This is my actual listing, Mexican import of Motley Crue, Girls, 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 $35. Here's Metallica. This is a Thailand import of Live at Wembley Stadium, new for $35. Def Leppard, we're back in Japan, $100. Oh, here we are, Tool again. Enema sold a Korean import for $106 at auction, 4 bids. It was only in very good condition. This is a YouTube promo sampler from our friendly neighborhood country to the north, Canada, $171. This is Madonna. It was a promotional only for the 1987 World Tour for It's That Girl, $250. So when you see Madonna, don't just assume it's the ones I showed you earlier that are worth $3.50. Really pay attention to it, because here's Madonna True Blue Japanese import, $321. Now, a little asterisk to imports. Some of these I don't think are legit releases, okay?
Okay, the slides are not changing again, being told.
Okay, so
I see Def Leppard.
you see,
Yeah.
You see Def?
Yeah.
Where's Def? Okay, so let me know when we switch over to Tool. Should I stop and start again? I will try that.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right.
It's still Def Leppard.
Okay, let's try that. What the heck? Hey, we were going good there for a while.
Yeah.
All right, tell me if you see. You see Tool?
I see you, and something is about to pop up. Now we see Tool. Yes.
All right, so here's the Tool Korean. Here is the U2 Canadian sampler. Now, the Korean Tool, that's what the cover looks like for Enema. There is no cover that looks like this for U2. So if you happen to know U2, the covers of their normal albums, you should see this and go, that doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. We switching?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the Madonna. It's That Girl. And it says right in the back, promotional use only, right there, to commemorate the 1987 World Tour. And then there's the True Blue in Japan. Now, what I was saying is, I'm not sure the validity of some of these Korean, Thailand, Mexican ones. I would never, ever tell you to sell anything illegal or not legit. However, and this is just on you at this point, no one ever seems to bust anyone's chops on the cassettes. So Kiss isn't knocking on the door of the person who sold this Argentina one. It could be legit, but sometimes they're not. And I don't think anyone's going to take the time to prove or disprove a cassette. They might on a current CD, or if they have a re-release of a vinyl, but cassette, no one is busting your chops. Just want to let you know that just to make sure you're safe. All right, promos. Promos are sent to record companies and radio stations. I mean, not record companies, excuse me, record stores.
Went back to Madonna for a second. Now it's on promos.
Okay. Is it on Fullfoot?
Yeah.
Okay. So what they want you to do is they want you to play this in the store or at the radio station to hopefully get excited. If you're a record store, the goal is to get you to order some. Or if you're at a radio station, the goal is to get you to play it on the air. So when Kurt Cobain died, the drummer, Dave Grohl, said, I'm not done playing music. I got a lot of stuff inside of me, so I'm going to put out an album and call it Foo Fighters. And the first album is just him. He played every single instrument. And this was the original promo that went out to promote the fact that the drummer from Nirvana has his own album now. And this promo sold for $60. The band Disturbed, when they came out, this was the promo they sent out to record stores. And these were promos that were meant to be put on the counter to hand out to customers. So their album was about to drop, and this cassette was just housed in a thin paper sleeve, and it had two to four songs on the back, and that was meant to get people excited. Now, on June 10th, the black cover sold for $22.50, but on June 11th, the white cover sold for $51. So apparently, the white cover is the way to go. But obviously, if you find either one of them, they're good money. Are we switching? Yeah, cool. Slipknot, when this first came out, I remember the exact place I was standing. I was in Parma Heights working for the Record Exchange. I opened the mail, and that's how a lot of the promos came, just in the mail to each record store. And I said, who are these guys? And I just threw a bunch of them on the counter where we put free stuff like stickers and things. And some people took them and took them home. If I would have known they'd be worth $30, I would have kept them all. All right, Sonic Youth was an alternative rock band from the 90s. This was their big breakthrough, Goo, and this was the promo sent out from the David Geffen Company before it just became Geffen Records. And as you can see, like new for $40. And please take your picture so it's easier to read. Don't do a sideways picture. Blink-182, current, when I say current, I mean as opposed to the 70s, current punk band. This was their big breakthrough. They had 2 albums before this, but this was their first big one on MCA. And this is the promo that was sent out, sold for $93 at 10 bids. And hey, we talked about Bare Naked Ladies earlier. This was their first promo before they even released anything. So Craig and Rick, go find this, $80. And then, oddly enough, I was done with this presentation last night, and I was just surfing eBay, and boom, this popped up. No Doubt, first promo. This just sold last night on eBay for, ta-da, $450. Now, I want to point out something. When you have bonus stuff to talk about, make sure you talk about it. So the band No Doubt, when they were starting out, Gwen Stefani, which everyone knows is lead singer, her brother Eric was in the band, and Eric left the band soon after this to become an animator for both Ren and Stimpy and then The Simpsons. He drew all this artwork. So Eric is famous in his own right, but for his animation. And so that's even though, look, it sold for $450. I don't think you're going to do better than that. But even in his own right, I would have definitely promoted the fact that Eric Stefani did the artwork for this, because that's another key selling point. When you can have more than one selling point, always use it. All right. If you took my CD webinar, you knew we had a whole section of audiophile. And that means people who will spend ridiculous amounts of money and claim that the sound is better. And it probably is. In the CDs, they use a thicker quality CD. In the cassettes, they use a higher quality cassette. Same company, Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs, but here are the high fidelity cassettes. Lee Ritenour, who wouldn't get you any money really even on CD or cassette, $58. The chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra, $69. Even Billy Idol does better than Frank, $70. Beach Boys, Surfer Girl, $90. The Beatles, $90. Cream, $122. And then this is blowing my mind. Not that I don't enjoy a little Jethro Tull, but Jethro Tull, $213 at auction. So it just shocks me that Jethro Tull did better than the Beatles and the the Beach Boys and Frank Sinatra. All right. Now, the last little section here of what we're looking for. This is just silly mud. Huh? Right. I did. I went backwards myself. Okay. So this is silly money. Now, most of these you'll probably never find. However, you never know when you're going to be at someone's estate sale or garage sale that used to work for Warner Brothers or used to work for Elektra. It has happened to me a few times in my life. So I want to show you the crazy money that's out there in this product, because you never know when you're going to see that. Now, I don't think any of you will ever find this. This is something rather new, like it just came out in 2015. The artist is Deaton Chris Anthony. I don't even know him. I know a lot of things. But someone found in the thrift store, evidenced by this picture, which is awesome that they took it right in the thrift store, $244. for a cassette that came out 4 years ago. What? All right, Mr. Bungle is a band you probably never heard of. You might have heard of the band Faith No More. Same lead singer. This was their early demo tape, 1988. Sold for $305. Now, remember when I told you about Metallica's first ever release? It was on cassette. It was called No Life Till Leather. Well, they re-released it, but here is the original release at auction, $350. And this was just last week. Just last week. Okay, when you're looking at a genre of music, and we're going to talk about hair metal for a second. Hair metal was big in the 80s. We're talking Poison. We're talking Motley Crue. We're talking Rat. Those are A level. Then you go to B level groups like Bullet Boys. And then you go to C level groups like Tora Tora and Danger Danger. Well, Truth or Dare never made it anywhere. So they're like lower than D level. But collectors look for these releases of things that never, ever came out. You might see this at a garage sale and be like, who's this? Nobody's. And if you scan this, it probably won't come up. But if you happen to look on eBay and one just sold, like this one in March, $384. So this is the kind of time when you're at a garage sale and a nickel or a dime a quarter, try it. Give it a gander, because it's going to be a lot of times where the money is. Dave Grohl put out a cassette post Nirvana, pre Foo Fighters, that obviously didn't have a lot, didn't sell a lot, or didn't, I don't know if it was a promo or not. But look at this, $500. Now, Buckethead is a guitar player, and he was in Guns N' Roses for quite a few years. He self-released cassettes when he was first starting out. So here's a 6-pack of his cassettes that sold for $535. And I wanted to show you Buckethead in case you've never seen him, because this is how he plays. With that white mask and a KFC chicken bucket head on his head, bucket on his head all the time. So that's his shtick. All right, here we are back to death metal and font you can't read, although death is kind of easy to read. So this was Death's original demo that they would send out to record companies trying to get signed. So it came with a letter. They just copied the cassette like you would make your own mixtape. And someone obviously found it someplace, $600. Ween is a band that had one hit. It was called Pushing Up the Daisies. Prior to being on a major and releasing CDs, they had some cassettes. And these two together sold 30 bids in only good condition for $550. And this one, only good condition, sold with 26 bids for $611. This is that Sublime I was telling you about, their first release, Job Won't Pay the Bills. Back in 2014, this original sold for $600. Sublime was on a label called Skunk before they got signed to MCA Gasoline. So if you find their early CDs and their cassettes on Skunk, people will pay big money for those, and you definitely want to put Skunk Records in your title. All right, before Eminem got signed to Aftermath, which is Dr. Dre's record label on Interscope, which is run by Jimmy Iovine, he was on this little know-nothing company called Web Entertainment out of Ferndale, Michigan, and he was releasing this Slim Shady EP. This was the promo to the EP. Only had 4 songs on it. Only 150 of them were made. $800 it sold for. So those in the Detroit area, keep your eyes peeled. Oasis, they had 2 huge hits, Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall. It was their original demo that they would shop around to the record companies for $915. Now this one, this is Sean Doddle and Friends. And you might think,
apparently the sound is choppy. It keeps getting stuck repeating and fading in and out. Joy said that, Angela said it. Angela said she refreshed.
all right, so I'll wait and see if
Well, maybe tell her what if you're having.
in the chat, and I can't see the chat right now. Is everyone hearing me choppy, or is it only a few people? Because, it always could be the end user, too. It could be your Wi-Fi. Look, when it rains hard, mom loses her Wi-Fi. So it depends where you live.
So try reconnecting up at top, just in case a lot of people are saying choppy.
Okay.
Everybody.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my Wi-Fi back to the other one and see if that does it. Hold, please.
Angela said choppy after.
All right, cool. And hey, admins, if you could do me a favor, so if you're listening, I do have admin chat open. Just feel free to pop it in there. Stacey's watching it too. All right, am I clear? Am I clear? Do you hear me? I'll sing for you guys.
Nope.
No? Okay.
No. Andrew says it seems better.
Okay. Angela's
Choppy, but they'll watch it later. Will the sometime later? No, choppy.
not necessarily. So I'll say a few more words. We'll see here. Da, 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 da. So how's everybody doing? You excited to go look for cassettes?
It looks like
I think that's better. It's not like we can't hear you.
Okay. All right. So Sean Dottle, you might be like, well, who the heck is Sean Dottle and who are his friends? Well, his friend was Chester Bennington. Chester Bennington was the lead singer of Linkin Park, who tragically took his own life. This cassette sold for $1,000. Now, when I read the description, here's why. They made 200 of these cassettes, and 100 of them sat in a car, and in the summertime, it got ruined. So Joy, Payton, and Punky, and whoever else is in the Tucson, Phoenix area. So, and I don't even know how many of the other 100 still exist. So when you find something, again, read the liner notes. If you just saw this SD and his friends, you never know Chester Bennington's on this. But if you read it, you'd be like, ooh, Chester Bennington, Linkin Park. A cassette sold for $1,000. Marilyn Manson, when he first came out, the whole band name was Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. This was a demo tape that he would shop around. Now, when I say demo tape, there was never just one. There was a bunch. They would hand them out to anybody to hopefully to get signed or even play gigs around the country. And so if you found Marilyn Manson and Spooky Kids demo tape, $1,025. Here we are back to Tool. This was their first demo cassette. Someone found it brand new and sealed. This is from 1991. Sold for $1,650. This is a 1984 Beatles cassette, and you might think, how could that be exciting? And look at the condition of that cover. Well, it was this rare slide-out cassette. They made a few of these, and they realized they didn't like them. So, again, we're going back to collectors. Collectors want every version of everything. And so because it was this rare slide-out cassette, it sold for $2,500 last September. All right, so speaking of demo tapes you want to find, Madonna made a bunch of copies of her demo tape and hand them out all over New York City. And the description was talking about how she was in a band with her roommates who were the group Breakfast Club, who had one hit, but they had to hit after her. And then she tried her hand at other bands. And so it's got a few songs on it. But if you happen to find it, $6,400. And we're still not at the best. The best is right here. Prince the Black Album was a album that Prince made. And then for whatever reason, and we'll never know the truth, he told Warner Brothers, I don't like it, get rid of it. He had them destroy it. And then years later, it did come out for a while and then went back out of print. So if you read the description here, this was from the original. So when he said, please destroy these, and somehow at least one was still in existence. And this is that case where maybe you know someone who worked for Warner Brothers in the 80s. Maybe they got this laying around in their collection. So this sold at auction in 2017 on eBay for $7,000 for a cassette. Let's not forget what we're talking about. It's a cassette. All right, so look, we found all these cool cassettes. People are buying them from us. Well, if they're buying cassettes, they have to play them on something, right?
It appears to be stuck. The arrow never left the price.
So is it still there?
I'm still looking at the price covered up. Now I see you.
Oh, well, I know. Turn it off. Turn it back on. All right. You see it now?
Come back. Okay, it's still. All right, that's good now.
Okay. All right.
I see the print slide. Yeah.
Oops. I'm on the wrong screen. Ta-da. Okay, so people are buying cassette players because if they're buying cassettes, they got to listen to them on something. So people are buying home stereo cassette players. So here's a realistic cassette player, recently sold for $40. Here's a JC sold, a double cassette sold for $55.
Still on step 4.
I appreciate y'all hanging in here with us with our technical difficulties tonight.
Still on step 4 slide.
Okay. You know, I'm gonna switch my Wi-Fi's again. Maybe that's the magic trick. You never know. All right, let me know what you see now.
Okay, it's switching to
Hopefully a cassette player.
for $40. Yes,
Yep.
That's
All right, here we are. We're back. All right. So vintage, well, yeah, of course it's vintage. Realistic cassette player sold for $40. This double cassette deck for JVC sold for $55. Now, you might say, hey, Jay, how the heck do I know these are worth anything? Electronics is actually very, very easy, because if you're standing at a thrift store and this JVC is in front of you, type in JVC, the model number TD-W709, boom. You will see actives on eBay. You'll see hopefully see solds. So you don't really need to know about electronics. You just need to be able to type. That's it on any electronic. Here is a Techniques that sold for $68. And next, we're going to go to a Nakamichi 480Z for $75. Now, look, they didn't even bother with more than 2 words in their title. They didn't even put cassette player in their title. So, you know, it's still sold, but man, use your titles. You know, write out good titles. Here's a vintage Tiak that sold for $125. And here is a much, much more expensive Tiak that sold for $1,000. All right. So manual, original box, all those things help with the money, with getting money. Here's a Sony EL7 with a remote. The manual's one owner, sold for $1,000. Okay. Here is a rare Techniques that sold for rare. I read the word like it's really rare, but it is. Obviously, if it's selling for $1,100, it's the RS7500, sold for $1,100. And last but not least, another of the TX Z5000 sold for $1,200. Now, when you have things, when you find things with the box, with the remote, take the picture with it. People will pay more money for the box, for the remote, and it always increases your price. All right, boom boxes. Boom boxes are so hot. They've been hot for a while, but they're really hot right now. This one's kind of plain. It's just a Sony. Again, you just look it up by the model number and the brand. Sold for $108. Now, here's just a, you know, I'm sure these were marketed at girls. Pastel, I don't know if it was peach or pink because it was a really crappy photo. But little sharp, tidy boombox still got over $100. Okay, now we're getting a little bit better. Here's a Panasonic, $295. And that's, ooh, that might have been the one I had. I think I had a Panasonic in my car. Here's a Sharp that sold for $400. And now we're talking big money. Here's a Sharp 767 with the big 4 speakers, dual cassette deck, $900. Here's a Lasonic. Now, I don't remember the brand Lasonic. I do remember this boombox from every hip-hop movie of the 80s. Sold recently for $1,200. Okay, cool. Elta, again, I guess, you know, I was in the country. I had a decent boombox, but I didn't have the big, like, B-boy boomboxes. I don't remember these brands, but Elta sold for $2,500. $200 shipping. And last but not least, this JVC. My JVC vibrates the concrete. That's LL Cool J for all y'all out there. $2,800. All right, on the go is our friendly neighborhood Sony Walkman. Now, this was the Sony Walkman that was in the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, and someone is doing a little keyword spamming here, Guardians of the Galaxy, in the title. But as you can see, without the box, without the headset, it sold for $695. This always sold quite well, but since the movie, the price skyrocketed. Here it is with the headset, sold for a little bit less, $610. But man, if you have it in the original box with the original carrying case and the original strap, and you've got some roller skates maybe, sold for $1,000. Clean and complete in super nice original box. Now, in doing this research, I didn't know Sony Walkman made a little tiny boom box. This is not a big one. This is a little tiny one, but I've never seen this before. But I want to share with you $450. Now, for those of you who are runners, like my wife, she used to have one of these, the Sony Walkman Sports. It was sweat resistant, if I remember correctly. Just sold for $200. Now, Maricha, who is in our group and who was watching me the other night on YouTube, hit me up because she just bought this for $5, still sealed. And here's her listing on eBay. She had it on sale when I took the screenshot for $191. And it was only been like a day or two, and she was getting a little impatient. And she said, "What should I do about the price?" And I said, "Well, one sold 2 weeks ago for $220. So you're actually already a little bit low." So what's crazy is, this is like 20, 25 years old maybe, and someone bought it and never opened it. Crazy. And this is when they had mega bass. Whoop. It's all about the bass. All right, step 5. They have the tapes. They have a way to play them. But now, where do they store them? Well, all right, if you're storing them at home, you're looking for the couple things. The Peaches records and tapes, they made these little crates, and these crates were mainly meant for 8-tracks, but they fit perfectly for cassettes too. And they also made 45 ones for 45s. But look, this one's kind of in beat condition. I'm going to show you a good one when we're done here. Sold for $24. But the main thing you're looking for is the Napa Valley boxes. They all say Napa Valley on the side. Here's one that holds 32 cassettes. They didn't mention that in the title. You always want to mention how many it holds in the title. The 32 ones sold for $30. But where the money comes in is the 100 ones. The 100 ones sell for $49, sold for $49, sold for $50. So as you can see, 50 is the going rate, and they sell pretty consistently. And this person sold 4 of them for $250. Now, their opening shot wasn't 4 of them. So definitely, if you're selling multiples of an object in one listing, make sure you can see it. You don't have to see them fully, but at least see a piece of them in your listing. Now, we sold a ton of this laser line stuff at the record store. It's basically the plastic version of this. And you got the little holes to screw it up to the wall, but this 100 holder just sold for $45. But what if you got a tape deck in the car? Well, you want to do it on the go. And so it's definitely 70s faux leather cassette case. Hey, do you know where the 8-track ones are? Grab them. I'll show them later. This just sold for $35. And this is something else we sold a ton of at the record store. The Logic carrying case with the shoulder strap. You can take 120 cassettes on the go. When I had my boombox, I had this sucker filled in the backseat of my car. And then the soft side, you had these briefcases that also hold 120 side. It was 120 cassettes. It was 2-sided. All right, but step 6, do they still want to make mixtapes? Who of us didn't make a mixtape? We all did. Jay's concert jams, Jay's workout tape, slow jams. We all made those. Stuck on the first case. All right. All right. Try again. Da, 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 da. All right, so we're stuck back on the faux alligator. So I'll switch to the next one. So tell me when you see the case logic pop up.
The first one just popped up. All right, Case Logic.
He's been caught. All right, so there's the Case Logic you're looking for. And they came in a variety of sizes. 120 wasn't just the only one, but the bigger the better. And then here is the double-sided hard briefcase. But people still want to make mixtapes. If you find what we call regular tapes, and I'll show you the difference in a minute.
Just went to the hard side. All right, you're up.
All right, the TDK D60 normal bias, 290 of them sold for $300, so $1 a tape. Of course, you'll hopefully find them for cheaper in the store. Here's 110 different cassettes that sold for $315, so they got $3 a tape. Now, I wanted to show you this because this is how cassettes went: type 0, 1, 2, and 4. I don't know if there was ever a 3, and who knows why, if there wasn't. 2 was the first kind of tapes. They were really crappy and weak. Type 1 is the standard. Type 2 is the chrome. It's a little bit better of a tape. And then there's what they call the metal tapes. There's actually metallic particles in the tape. And those are the highest quality tape. So, and I have found them a few times. We've had other members find them. So, for instance, 78 metal tapes just sold for $1,200. 90 just sold for $870. And 30 sold for $525. So, if you see the word metal, type 4, that's crazy money, because we went from getting $1 a cassette to $17 a cassette. And you don't always have to put them in these huge lots. You could break them down into a little bit smaller lots. All right. And tip 15, the most important tip. Come on.
Yeah.
The most important tip is have fresh cases. Now, if you were paying attention to the pictures of the screenshots I was showing you, you would have seen a lot of people took pictures of broken cases, destroyed cases, gross cases. This and CDs are the only two products ever, I think, that you can replace the housing of it and make it look brand new. Now, I had done this nice dissolve, which I can't do now, but here is the Thompson Twins in the case it came in. Look how gross and broke. And I put it in a fresh case. But the angels sing. Ah! Is it?
Yeah. Did you see Andrew's comment? The second one is just for 10 cassettes.
Oh, the second one was for 10 cassettes? What? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Sorry. It's even better. 10 of those sold for $870. I'm sorry, 90 minutes. 10 of them from Japan. And a lot of good stuff comes out of Japan. So when you find music and blank forms of media out of Japan, people tend to pay a higher dollar. Thanks for catching that, Andrew. That was awesome. I missed that. Makes it even cooler. Makes it even cooler. All right. Now, here are the top 5 reasons selling cassettes is way more awesome than anything else. Number 1, they're everywhere. Garage sales, thrift stores, antique malls, record stores, your old bedroom. Number 2, they can be alphabetized on your shelves. So it is super duper, duper duper easy to pull when they are sold. These are my shelves right now. My lovely wife did the alphabetizing for me. Hey, 2 Allison chains together. You see it up there? I just noticed. 2 of the same title.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, you're doing good on pulling the doubles.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you sell jeans, when you sell women's dresses, when you sell, what else? When you sell golf clubs, you can't really alphabetize them. But books, CDs, cassettes, records, you can alphabetize. So when you go to pull it, super easy. Super duper easy. Number 3, it's one of the, like I already said, it's one of the only products that you can change the housing and make it look brand new again. This is going to be a fun video, but of course I'm not going to show it because I don't want to have us slow the process down anymore. Number 4, you really only need 3 picks. 2 if it's still sealed. I take the cover, the back, and I pull the cassette out. I don't even take both sides. Now, I know some of you like to take a lot of photos. eBay recommends you have all 12. I won't fault you if you take a lot more, but majority of the cassettes I do, 3 shots. And when you're doing groupings, you're only going to be able to get the top, the fronts, and maybe the backs even. So, you know, people know what they're getting. They're cassettes. And number 5, shipping takes no time at all. They weigh 4 ounces when wrapped in a piece of cardboard, which this, again, was going to be a nice little video to protect them and slide them into a number 0 bubble mailer. Same bubble mailer for your CDs, but I always recommend putting a little bit of cardboard around it. Comes in at 4 ounces. And unless you have a double cassette, they're all the same size. That's the joy of cassettes. You know, you sell a pair of jeans, a size 28 waist pair of jeans is going to be a way different size than a size 60 pair of jeans. So you're going to have to deal with different sizes, different weights, different dimensions. Cassettes, they're all the same. Whew. All right. We're going to do a Q&A in a second here. We've come to the end of the actual presentation. But I do want to let you know about something. Most you know, maybe we got some new people in here. I do have a separate group from the 13 board called the Secret Beach. It is a more concentrated group. It's a smaller group. It's a private group that we do a lot of cool stuff in. And every time I do a webinar, I do throw out a deal to join the Secret Beach. So let's talk about the special offer for tonight. First, every month you get a webinar like this. Now, A, it's not usually 2.5 hours, and B, usually you don't have these technical difficulties, but every single month I do a webinar for the group. So I'm not going to read through all 31 of these, but we started 31 months ago. Here are the webinars I've done. I do want to touch on a few things. I've done way more extensive CD development since the original CD webinar. Is the T-shirt dead? The Wonderful World of Plush. Rescuing electronics from the thrift store. And not everything is about buying products. Selling things to real people in person. It's a whole webinar on how to set up your garage sale or a booth at a flea market. How to use spreadsheets to take inventory. So it's a combo of actual things to do to help your business and products you should be looking for. Second, every month we have a guest subject expert. And there we go. A guest subject expert. And again, I'm not going to read through all these, but I do want to highlight a couple of them. Jeans, our own Jeans with Joy. Jeans with Joy has done a two-part denim webinar. My buddy John Miller has done he exclusively sells postcards. He did a two-parter where he taught us the bolos and then taught us how to store them, how to sell them, all the good stuff you need to know. Nadine did a 3-part women's shoe webinar. That is amazing. But again, it's not just about products. We learned how to use Pirate Ship. If you're not using Pirate Ship, you are wasting money. Anna Hill, good friend of mine, who is a actual bookkeeper, told us all about what to do for year-end bookkeeping. We just learned about baseball and softball bats this month. And so there's all kinds of great webinars. Now, what's great is full replay access to all this training. So all those webinars from me, all those webinars from the experts, they're still there. So when you join today or tomorrow, you have got 62 webinars to catch up on. So if it rains like you're in Cleveland, you could binge watch. We also have deep dive how-to videos from me. I've done how to ship a record. I've done how to use a pool noodle to pack up breakables. I do a lot of these little how-to videos. Is that there? Is that what? Yeah, I need to see the. Yeah, you're my eyes right now, my dear. We've also done bonus episodes of Thrifty Business and Selling Past Your Expiration Date. They're a little like after party. So those are all there for you also. And it's private. That's the nice thing. It is not open to the public. It is not people wandering in and out. It is a private secret group. Plus bonus, you get 25 tools every thrifter needs when they're out and about. Now, what's new to the Secret Beach, relatively new, is we've started doing interactive learning with prizes. So a couple months ago, we did our first ever scavenger hunt where we took items from all the different webinars and had people go out and look for them. And whoever found the most items from the list, they won a $50 eBay shipping supply gift certificate. And this currently, we're doing the 10-pound challenge where, again, the prize is going to be $50. So not only are you learning, you can win just cash prizes. It's pretty cool. All right, so all of that is normally $39 a month. But when we do the webinars, so as a little thank you for all tuning in, we drop it down to $34 a month. Now, if you don't believe me, here are just some different people who are in the Secret Beach and things they've said about it. The webinars offered are worth the price, hands down. The support and camaraderie found in the Secret Beach has motivated me to up my game, and my sales have soared as a result. Paid for my first year of the Secret Beach from one estate sale hall and things I would have walked right by if not for learning in the Secret Beach. I love the foundation of unconditional belief in each member's ability to succeed. And how can you lie with numbers? I want to say numbers don't lie. I joined the Secret Beach after the first webinar. I think it was at the end of May 2017. I've learned so much. Thanks for all the webinars and positive help to push us to be better sellers. And as you can see, from January to December, her sales went up from $1,300 to $5,100 a month. All right. So like I said, $34 a month. But if you do want to sign up for the full year, just one quick, easy payment. We even give you a better deal, $299 for the entire year. That's a savings of $169. But wait, there's more. And if you don't know, little Where's Waldo, that is Stacy standing underneath the dollar sign. This is the actual Secret Beach down in Maui. So that's a little Where's Waldo. But wait, there's more. Oh, thanks, Chad. I can't see you guys right now, but thank you very much. What I'm going to do is, I want you guys to find records. I want you to find CDs. I want you to find cassettes. And I know none of you have what's in my brain. Some of you are close, but my musical knowledge is just nutso. And so I like helping people sort their music. So when a few of you get a couple good groups together, like say you go to a garage sale tomorrow and buy 50 cassettes, we're going to do some video chats where you're going to get on with me and I'm going to get on with you and a couple others. And you're just going to show me what you got. And I'm going to tell you what to break out into groups. So whether it should be by artist or it should be by genre. So that'll help get you over the hump. If you don't know music like I know music, and like I said, I'm a freak of nature when it comes to this, I will help you. So that's part of signing up today. And here's the last fun picture we took today. Time for Q&A. I hope most of you know what this reference is to. This is my love of a movie. Are you laughing, John?
I am, because it's like midnight 30, but we'll get a couple of them in.
It's 10 o'clock, John. You're not in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, I do want to show a couple things. I did show this earlier. Like I said, just have your fresh cases. It's super duper easy to make your shit look good. Oh, and real quick, I don't have a specific place I buy these. Last night I was looking to see what the best deal I could find. I could find these for 23 cents a piece last night. That was the best deal. Now, when you buy things like this in bulk, the more you can buy, the better the deal. So if you don't think you need 1,000 right now, if you have other thrifters near you or other Secret Beach members near you or other thrifting board members near you, if you all go in and buy a group of them, you get a better deal. I know my mom does it with her meetup group. They'll buy like 1,000 record mailers and everyone will buy like, 100 of them or 50 of them. So that's where you get your deals. And remember when I said pay attention to bootlegs? This was in my pile. Someone made not only a bootleg cover, but they made a bootleg cover for the cassette too, of Public Enemy. So keep your eyes peeled. You don't want to sell bootlegs. That's always a no-no. Oh, and here's the scanner. Since I couldn't show the videos, this is the cordless scanner I use. It's Bluetooth, and it is awesome. Oh, yeah. And remember that Peaches crate I showed you that sold for $25 and it wasn't in the greatest condition? Ta-da! And mine was, like my mother, a quarter at a garage sale. Woohoo! But I'm going to use it. For cassettes. Show what? Oh, yeah. So that faux leather, you couldn't really see it that well, but here's what they look like. Look how nice. Look how pretty. This one happens to be an 8-track, but the one I showed was a cassette one. So there's a few more visuals for you guys. Huh. Oh, you know what? I didn't tell. I'm a dingling. I didn't tell the website. Yeah. Yep. So I'm a dingling. I'm a crappy salesman when I don't tell you the website. Go to www.thesecretbeach.club. Make sure you're going to the club. Get it? Go to the club. Not .com. You might end up on some weird porn site. Secretbeach.club to get signed up right now for the Secret Beach. Oh, and John's got it at the top of the chat. All right. Hit me with some questions.
All right. Do you listen to every tape to be sure it's actually playing okay?
Great question. Now, I almost put that in there, but I'm like, all right, let's see how good the audience is, see if they ask that. I would have thrown it in. But here's the deal. I figured out once the cassettes, videos, records, and CDs I have sold from March of 2000 to June of 2019, it would take me 53 years, 24 hours a day to listen and watch everything. So, of course, what I'm telling you is no. You do the visual grading like I taught you. If you do have a boombox, look at this. I got a triple deck here. When's the last time you saw a triple deck boombox? You can spot listen to things. But when you sell old media, especially tape media, if you have a customer that gets the tape and says it doesn't work, or someone copied over it and their kids singing, doing the Pledge of Allegiance, just believe them. Because I've had a few of those over the years, but it's like I can count them on like 20 times out of a couple 100,000 pieces of media I've sold. So it's not that big of a deal. And you just can't, here are my shelves. And this is all the stuff that's listed right now. And I got tons more to list. There's just no way. There's no way to listen to it all.
All right. Are imports easy to identify?
Yeah. Now, the imports, like especially the Japanese and the Korean, they're going to be written in their native language. The Argentina one was written in Spanish. But, of course, the UK imports will be written in English. So it will say made in and then the country. And another telltale sign is companies in America mostly are incorporated, INC. Companies overseas are limited, LTD. So if you see Polygram Inc., that's American. If you see Polygram Ltd., that's foreign. So that's what you'll know it's an import. What?
Couple things, house cleaning notes. If you missed the beginning of the event, you'll get a replay probably by morning. There'll be an email sent to you. Make sure you check your junk mail and your other tabs if you are a Gmail user. So that will come from Webinar Jam. Hopefully the replay will have better audio, but we'll see. The other thing is, if you bought the notes normally take us 5 to 7 business days to get all done. So don't ask until now. All right. And if you want to upgrade and grab the notes, you can go to upgrade.flippingcassettes.com. So there you go. What do you call the little felt pads?
Here. Felt pad. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I will tell you, unrelated, this guy is a marketing genius. His name is Sleevy Wonder.
Huh.
And in his thing to me, he sent me all these sleeves. So sleeves that you would put cassettes in if you want to make them even fancier. He sent me like 5 or 6 of his other products that were very light in weight. But of course, maybe if I'm happy with him, I'll go order more. So a unique name and some bonus freebies. That's some good marketing right there. But this was
great. Some cassettes are gated for me on Amazon. Some are not. Is that due to artist or recording labels or something else?
Yeah, so if you don't know what gated means, is Amazon doesn't allow certain sellers to sell DVDs, health and beauty, CDs, cassettes. I've been selling on Amazon so long, I got grandfathered into everything. I can sell everything. So oftentimes you will get more money on Amazon. So what I would recommend is you get your scanner and scan it on Amazon first. It'll tell you right away if you can sell that one or not. If you can sell it and it's going for, say, 35 on Amazon and 20 on eBay, list it on Amazon. Now, if you can't sell anything on Amazon, don't worry about it. But I would still use the Amazon app in the store before the eBay app. It's quicker. It's more robust. It has more things in the database than eBay has. It is my go-to scanner just to get a jumping off point. If there's 27 of them on Amazon and the cheapest one's a penny, I ain't wasting my time with it. If there's 2 on Amazon and the cheapest one's $20, all right, I'm going to look at it a little bit further. Maybe then I will go double check on eBay, because if I can only sell on eBay. But yeah, if you see a ton of them on Amazon, you can just skip it right away.
Cool. Is it better to sell promo cassettes on auction or fixed price?
It's a great question. It's going to kind of depend on what it is. So if it was that early Dave Grohl promo, yeah, that's the kind of thing. Because if you notice, a lot of the ones that sold for crazy money, a lot of them were auctions. because they're so rare. You know, when people say just in general, do I do auction or buy it now? In 2019, to have a successful auction, you have to have at least two people who want to fight each other till the death, and they have to notice it in the same week. Now, with these rare things, people who are looking for them are going to have them as saved searches. So you list one of them the rare Bare Naked Ladies promo, for example, there's going to be 3, 4, 5, 10 people who have it on saved search. They're going to see it come up, and they're going to start bidding. And so, yeah, on those kind of things, I would absolutely throw it up at auction.
Okay, cool. Are the years on the cassette itself or on the covers?
So, could be both, but where you're going to run into a little bit of issue is earlier cassettes don't even have a barcode on them. Let me see if I can find one real quick. Of course, every single thing I've grabbed has had a barcode. Barcode. Ah, there we go. This one has no barcode. Yay. Now, when you scan with the Amazon app, you can scan the actual cover. So let me, one of the videos that wouldn't play for me, let me demonstrate. There we go. Let's see if I can pull this off. This would be pretty cool. All right, so there's your Amazon app. And when you tap the app, there's a little camera in the right-hand corner. So we're going to tap the camera. And now these magic blue dots are looking to read something. And it read the wall hanging behind me. All right, so let's see if I do this and I do this. There we go. So it read that it's in excess. There it is, in excess kick. And it's reading that there's a cassette there. So it says cassette tape. So, and eBay works the exact same way. See the camera in the upper right-hand corner? You tap on the camera, and you can do one of two things. You can take a picture of it, or you can switch it to barcode. So we could take a picture of it. Oops. All right, so let me try this again. Where am I? Oh, it took a picture of me. Let's see what it finds for me. All right, so I won't try and show you the actual taking the picture, but let me do it real quick. Because it not only reads that it's in excess, that it reads it's a cassette. Come on. All right, so it's not finding it. So it's not finding it. It is seen as a cassette, but if I switch it to barcode, and I take a picture of the barcode, then it picks up exactly what it is. So if there is a barcode, always use the barcode. If there isn't, all right, take a picture of the front. But anytime on any product, if you can get to the barcode, get to it.
Okay. What site is being used when the listing says sell similar item on eBay?
What was the first part of that, John?
It says, what site is being used when the listing says sell similar item on eBay?
Well, you'd be on eBay. So if someone's got this in excess cassette, if you don't use a third-party lister like I do, you could just click sell similar on someone else's listing and just fill in your details. So make sure you're filling in the correct condition. There's 3 conditions: the condition of the cover, the condition of the case, the condition of the cover, and the condition of the cassette. So make sure you're very specific. Now, the one tip I didn't have in the presentation, totally forgot to tell you guys, when you're doing collections, majority of the time people who are buying 50 classic rock cassettes are buying them to listen to them in their 1972 truck that still has like a tape deck. They really don't care about condition of the cassette case. So I typically don't change them out unless it's like disintegrated. So if it's got a little crack, I do mention some cases have cracks. If you're selling one by itself that's worth $30, $40, $50, absolutely put a fresh case on it. But don't waste your time if you're selling a collection that they're going to average out to like $2.
Good. If you find cassettes that are promos, samplers, or slight variations, how do you know which one have additional value beyond the regular?
So that's just going to be on how good your research is. So always start with eBay and eBay solds. If you have an eBay store, you now have for free TerraPeak, which gives you 1 year of eBay data. So you can type in the information there. And then Discogs, D-I-C It's DISCOGS, discogs.com. It's the database for all music. And so they'll break it down. So NXS Kick came out on vinyl, cassette, and CD. So when you go here on Discogs, it'll show you a vinyl, cassette, CD. So you click on the vinyl, and then there's more than one version. It'll say the American version, the English version, the advanced promo version, and it'll give you a little bit more details. So really, it's going to be how good you can research.
Cool. How hard is it to change the belts on a cassette deck?
I never have, and so that is one thing that the belt, especially if you live in a place like here, Vegas, or where Joy lives in Tucson, dry rot is a real thing, and so you'd have to be mechanically inclined. I am what you call the opposite of mechanically inclined. So if I needed to change the belt, I would go knock on my neighbor's door and go, "Can you help fix this for me?" So I'm the wrong person to ask for that. My dad could, I cannot.
I sold a Tales from the Crypt with a funky green cassette case. Funky green. The case had cracks and scratches, but I didn't switch it out. Is that an exception?
Yeah, there are some cassettes that come in specific color cases. And what I would keep your eye on, you might see some funky colored cases at the thrift store, at a garage sale, of a release that you don't really need or care, but because it's the funky colored case, and you only need those every once in a blue moon, get rid of the cassette that's in there that's not worth your time, and just put it on a shelf. One day you're going to need that funky green, or you're going to need that funky red. Oh, excuse me. Or you need that funky blue. And so you hold on to those. Same thing we were doing CDs, the trays. Sometimes the trays are different colors. I always keep the colored ones that I don't need from where they came from, but I got a nice little stack of them. Same with the cassette cases.
So if I'm a Secret Beach member right now paying monthly, can I catch the deal to pay for a year?
Absolutely. And do we send them to the help desk, John, or how do we do that usually?
Yeah, go ahead and sign up for the year and then open a case at support.jasonthrifts.com.
And if you've got any questions, just message me later. I'll help you right through it. No biggie. I don't disappear after these webinars. I'm around answering questions all night.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. Yeah, either that or you could go to the help desk. What's your brand of scan gun?
It is called Terra. I've had others, and I bought this one because of the review. So this is where I definitely shop on Amazon. I'm an Amazon Prime member. I wanted one that was cordless because here, too, when I do inventory on CDs, it's so much quicker to grab it out of the shelf, scan it, and have my computer sitting there with my spreadsheets up than having to read and look. And so I'm like, oh, I want cordless so I can move around the room. And like I said, about $35, and man, within a week of doing a whole collection of CDs or cassettes, it pays for itself because you do a lot of typing. But if you don't have one and you have a regular keyboard, what I would recommend is either get a keyboard with a 10 keypad or you can add a 10 keypad, because if you learn to use this, you can do it without looking at it. So if you get pretty good at a 10 keypad, you can type without ever having to look at it. So there's your options.
Cool. What's the most efficient way to list everything?
Everything in the whole world? All right. So those of you who signed up and watch tonight, we have a group for you called Flipping CDs right now, but it's going to change. I'm going to do some live listings over there next week and show you. But the efficient way on anything is to group like things. So say you've got 4 NXS cassettes that you're selling solo, and then you got a Kenny Rogers, and then you got a Bon Jovi. Don't list an NXS and then go to Kenny and then back to NXS, then to Bon Jovi, back to NXS. Try and do like things together, because every time you can group like things together, it's less keystrokes. So if you're going to go list, say, 20 T-shirts that you thrifted, put all the black ones together. And then within the black, do the black large. Anytime it's less keystrokes, it's quicker for you. It gets things listed quicker. Now, I think I'm good at what I do, but it took me a couple of years to be like, well, duh. Do all the light. I remember bouncing back and forth just in whatever order I had them in my hand. But then I started to really set it out. I'm like, okay, just a couple seconds to group things up. Black, large, saves me so much extra time.
Cool. Should you rewind your cassettes to the beginning?
I saw that, and you know what? I don't ever think about it, and I never have, and no one's ever yelled at me.
Huh.
So you could, because one thing it could, if you have a cassette player near you, the one thing it could tell you is if the tape had gotten weak over the years, sometimes when it rewinds and it has that hard stop at the end, if it breaks, not to sell it. So I'll probably start rewinding tapes now that I got this boombox sitting here.
If the apps take pics to find on Amazon, eBay, what's the benefit to having a scanner?
You mean what's the benefit of having this scanner? It's at home. So this is for in the store,
Okay.
and this is for at home. So you can just list quicker. Now, the one thing I started doing, because I can list on Amazon, is when I scan something in the store, and if it's good to put on Amazon, I list it right that moment because it takes you about a second. And so I'm kind of ballsy. I'm listing stuff before I actually technically own them.
Wow.
And I don't do it all the time, but some days I do. I just list right there. Like I'm already looking at what it's selling for, and I just quickly pick the condition and my price, and it's listed. So I get home and it's right on the shelf. Little bonus tip. That's a bonus tip right there.
So I like this question. It's like if you got a new sealed cassette, but the case is cracked, do you change the case?
Never. So what you do in that situation is you always want anything new, no matter what has happened after the fact. You want to sell this new other, and you want to say it's sealed. Now, you can give options. You can actually write to your customer. You can say, look, I can send it as is. I could open it and put a new case on, or I could just send you a fresh case. I typically send a fresh case with the cassette or the CD in that matter. So that way they have the options. They can do whatever they want at that point. And like I said, it's 24 cents. This weighs nothing, so it doesn't really add any weight to your package. And you look really good to the customer. Oh, even though I fully bought it knowing there's a crack, he gave me a fresh case. Like, look, Sleepy Wonder got me excited. He sent me freebies. I like Sleepy Wonder.
How can you tell if it's a bootleg?
Well, like on this one, so this is Public Enemy, Yo Bum Rush Show. It's a color cover like every other cover in the world. This one's black and white.
Yeah.
It's just paper. And they actually somehow printed off paper stickers to cover over this cassette. So they were making bootlegs on trying to make it look like a legit cassette. This, you can tell this is low rent photocopy. And I do have, I want to show you in person. This is the record company ones with the two lines that you don't want.
Got it. It's like bootleg from the record company.
yeah, you're right. It is.
It really is. Matter of fact, I remember back in the day that the artist didn't get paid for most of those.
Yeah.
They didn't get royalties for that.
Yeah. And look, people get excited because, you can find Led Zeppelin on those. And a Led Zeppelin on a regular cassette would be a good flipper. Even Led Zeppelin, I would skip. That's how bad the quality is.
Wow. What's the most efficient way to list a cassette? Auction, buy it now, or buy it now, best offer?
Okay, so I list pretty much everything buy it now, best offer. I only run auctions if I find something super crazily rare. Like I found a second state Beatles Butcher cover once. I definitely run that at auction. Let people fight themselves to get to $3,300. But most of the cassettes are going to list it at buy it now. I would list it 20% higher. So say the normal buy it now it's normally selling for $20. I would list it for like around $22, $23. That way you can run a sale. That way people can make you offers and you still hit about the right spot for it.
That's awesome. All right. So somebody's asking if you paid for the webinar. There was a surprise bonus. Well, surprise, you are getting your own Facebook group. Surprise!
Yep. And in that group, we'll be doing live listings. So I'm going to get together for next week. I'm going to get two solo cassettes, one that has a barcode, one that doesn't, and a grouping. And I'll have the pictures already pre-done, but I'll show you how to list them, how to be efficient, and how to put your pictures up. So I'll have all that ready to go. So we'll sit down and it will be recorded for later. So if you can't make the live, no biggie, you'll be able to watch it later. So that is one of your bonuses right there, is me working through how to list on eBay the most efficient way, the best way, make your listing stand out above everybody else's. And some of that's going to be just core eBay stuff you should be doing on every listing, but I'll make sure you guys are definitely doing it on these cassettes too. Because, like I said, this will end someday. Like jeans will never end. Music overall will never end, but cassettes, it's hot with teenagers, it's hot with hipsters, it's hot with dudes in 72 pickup trucks, but at some point it will end. At some point. So let's get it now while it's hot.
If you're a Secret Bitch member and you want the notes, you just go to the upgrade.flippingcassettes.com. Go to upgrade.flippingcassettes.com and you'll get that. What is the site for the new cases? Is it Sleeve Wonder? Sleeve?
Oh, well, Sleepy Wonder wasn't cases. Sleepy Wonder was the felt pads.
Felt pads.
Yeah. Now, cases, here's how I look. When I buy cases for cassettes, cases for CDs, LP mailers, I don't have a specific person I go to because people are always running deals, and they're all built the same. So I go to eBay, I go to Amazon, I go right to Google Shopping, and with just a little bit of looking, I went from 42 cents a case to 23 cents a case with just about 2 minutes of looking. So just Google, and don't just sit on the first thing you see. Look around.
All right. I only got, we got to go. But I'll give you one more.
Now, give me 4 more.
4 more?
Yes.
4? I only got 3.
All right, well, then let's do 3.
Okay. Are regional rap artists desirable in cassettes like they are in CDs?
Yes. Not everybody. Every region has its own rap superstars that never make it beyond the region. So Cleveland definitely has a region. Atlanta definitely has a region. And some of these become highly collectible. There's full Facebook groups about them, but not everyone. So that's definitely something where if you're standing there and you're like, who's this rapper? And if you don't know rap, kind of a deciding factor if it's nationwide or regional, look at the record label. If you see Warner Brothers, if you see Elektra, if you see Sony, if you see BMG, we all know those. So that's probably a big rapper. If you see Web Entertainment, which was Eminem's first one, you're like, what? There ain't no major record label in Ferndale, Michigan. So that kind of tells you. Or if it's like, a Jason Thrift's production, that's low rent. But low rent doesn't mean bad. It just means they're not known worldwide, but there are certain people who definitely want those. So just look them up.
I saw one that came by that was kind of cool. When listing lots, what category should be used?
So I've been using wholesale lots. And I was doing in regular cassettes, even though there was more than one. I think I do regular cassettes when it's just a couple of the same artists. But when I do a genre lot, rock, classic rock, rap, R&B, I do wholesale lots. It's a little bit easier, I think. So that's what I do. Can I answer Ginny's question?
Yeah, if you see it.
Yeah, singles. Do we look for the same genres? Do they sell? So singles are a trickier one. For those of you who are live during singles were cassette singles. They came in a paper sleeve, and some of them had some side B tracks that weren't normally on the regular cassette. So it's not what I taught you today is not uniform to singles, and majority of the time singles have to be put into a big lot. But there are some singles that are worth some crazy money. So it's one of those things where you're just going to have to sit down and check them out. Most of them have barcodes. Excuse me. So you can scan them, and that'll tell you. So again, if you scan a single and you see 20 of them for a penny, it's not worth it by itself. It's worth it maybe in a lot, but it's not worth it by itself.
So I had a question around that one too. Mm-hmm. So it's like let's say if I was in the store and I scanned something and it was like, maybe a $10, $15 cassette, would it be worth my time maybe to buy 3 or 4 or 5 more of that same artist just to see if it would get me more money?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it depends on the artist. But as you saw, anything Wu-Tang would flip well. Anything Tribe Called Quest would flip well. Metallica's been around for a long time. There's a heavy metal group that everyone knows. Same with Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden sold and Metallica sold millions of each of their cassettes. But when you put them together, like I showed you, that group of three sold a Macari for $13. But then a group of three almost identical sold on eBay for $35. So if you're in the store and you see a couple Iron Maidens, grab them all. They're better in a lot. Okay? If you see somebody from the Wu-Tang, it's actually better by itself.
Cool. You see another one?
Oh, I see. Yeah, Marine's got a good one. If the paper insert is missing, does that lower the value? Yeah. That pretty much makes the cassette worthless. Now, if you found the high fidelity ones and you just found just the cassette, you might be able to get some money. But when people buy cassettes, they really want the whole package. And really, it's only two parts because you can put a fresh case on.
Do you know what that's called?
What's what called?
That piece of paper.
The J card.
The J card. Well, you're a winner.
you thought you were going to stump me, son?
I was going to try to stump you, man.
Let's play Stump Jason. So Eric's got a good question too. Would you say that cassettes are easier to find than CDs in terms of sources that aren't record shops? Well, record shops right now are one of my best sources for cassettes. I am paying more than a quarter. I'm not paying my mommy what she pays a quarter for everything. But when we travel, we hit every record store. Like, look, we're going to Chicago for Ecom Chicago, and Stacy and I had set our trip, and I go, oh my God, we didn't set any day to thrift, any day to source music.
Oh my God.
And she's gotten really good at sourcing music with me. And so we actually added a day on. So we're going to spend that whole day sourcing music. And the money we make from that is going to pay for a majority of that trip. And all those stores have added huge cassette sections. So, it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other. Cassettes are a lot of places. Some places they aren't. But man, they just keep, like I said, the sections over the years keep growing because they know people want them. So they're adding more and more, but most stores aren't putting a huge premium. They'll normally price them $6 to $8. But if I'm selling for 30 to 40, I don't mind paying $8. It's a good, easy flip. Plus, I use a rewards credit card that gets me airline miles that lets me fly free. See, it's all a big circle.
It's all a good circle. All right. I do got to drop.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Sometimes those kind of things are just out of our hands, but you make do with what you have. And so I still believe that we got great content out to you. I am happy to answer any questions. Even though we do have a help desk, I'm still happy to answer any questions after the fact. But thank you very much. If you're interested in the Secret Beach, head on over to www.thesecretbeach.club. And all kinds of great webinars coming up. We're doing another scavenger hunt coming up in about a month, and those are quite fun. I figured out, like, I've always brought good knowledge and good learning, but now I figured out really how to make it fun. Like, if you're running around trying to find stuff that's going to make you money, and then one of you is going to win like a cash prize, how can learning be any better than that? I think it's, look, we had so much fun during the first scavenger hunt. I'm going to participate in the second one. I can't win. It's my scavenger hunt, but I want to see how good I can do against all of you too. So that's how much fun they are. I want to participate in my own contest just for fun. It's fun. So good luck. Get out there, find the cassettes, hit the record stores, hit the thrift stores. They're there. But look, don't be afraid to make mistakes. We learn more from our mistakes than we do our successes. So if you bring one home and by your research in the store look good and you get home, it's a dud. I still do that. I bring home a lot of winners, but every once in a while I bring home something from a trip and I go, why did I buy this? For some reason, it seemed good in the store, but when I got home, But that's all part of the selling game. So don't be afraid to make those mistakes and get out there and rock it. Find some kick-ass cassettes. And when you do, share them with us. Let us know what you sold and what you found, because we love to see your successes. That's the whole reason I teach, to see everyone else's successes. I get excited about it. It fuels me. And that's it. Thank you, John. Thank you, Stacy, for helping me. Thank you all for who let us know when we were lagging. I appreciate the help, and I appreciate all of you for tuning in tonight. Bye.